Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Night Owl. It's a show that we do twice a week where we talk about all the latest in pop culture news and gaming news and TV and movie reviews. And as usual, I have with me my co host, the very distinguished Professor R2. How's it going, Professor?
I'm doing good. How are
And I
you doing?
believe I'm doing good. I believe we also have another guest here,
Oh boy.
and I'm trying to find him. Sean has joined us. How's it going, Sean?
It's going. I'm tired. How are you?
Sean and his
Sean.
pumpkin lights.
Total Halloween vibe that you brought
Yeah.
us here. Sean has had a lot of stuff going on between work and being sick, but he was able to join us tonight, and we're always happy to have him here. How's everything going, Sean?
Fine. I'm tired. I'm here. Let's rock.
All right,
Oh,
awesome.
Your mouth movement. I saw that
Yeah,
the
Sean
other
hasn't
day.
seen the moving
Yeah.
mouth yet.
That
It's going to creep
freaked
him out
me out the other
all
day.
night.
Oh, well, hopefully. I don't know. I made some tweaks to it. I think now it's moving. I think it was working better before, but
I'm very entertained, but I'm very creeped out.
all right. Well, we do the best we can here at Price of Reason Studios. I
On
guess.
the
What was I going to say? Oh, Sean, you see a lot of movies. Did you happen to watch Joker 2?
I've seen the ending 3 times.
There's nothing worse than the ending of that movie. So,
and I yeah, that's as much as I've seen of it, really. And a lot of crying and a lot of mumbling, and I briefly heard in the background what I assume was going to be the infamous aggressive snuggling scene.
Yes, the grapes.
the grapes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So
You know,
I see like pieces, and I'm not. If I was someone that loved the first one, I'd be like, oh yeah, I can see why someone would be pissed at the end of this movie.
This is a case of a director that has his head up his own ass, and I personally think that in the future they shouldn't give him existing IPs, and he wants to make his own weird indie movie. You can give him a few $1,000,000. He doesn't need the Joker, and really, I feel like he deceived the audience because on one hand now he's going around and he's saying, well, I never intended for this to be the real Joker. It was a different Joker. But that's not really true because actually the whole movie, the first one, was if you didn't plan for him to be the Joker, why was the movie called The Joker? Why are you in Gotham City? Why is Harvey Dent there? Why are all these things happening? So you do want it to be the Joker.
I was listening to Midnight's Edge before this, and
Right.
you guys nailed it. It was like if it was just a weirdo, lonely, crazy person movie, no one would come to it. But you slap Joker on it, and now you have a $1 billion movie. It was purely for the name brand to begin with. Even when they announced that first movie, I was like, why are they doing this? And then everyone was like, oh, it wasn't even supposed to be a Joker movie. It was 2 other movie homages, and then they just called it Joker. And I'm like, why does this exist? And then with this movie, I feel like everyone is finally in that mindset where I felt like I was going crazy because I'm like, why does any of this exist? Why did the sequel exist?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is a case where the guy wanted to have his cake and eat it too, and I think that it's a complete failure. Somehow, this guy has lost a lot of credit with me. I've never considered him the best director in the world, but I think that after seeing what he did here, I've lost a lot of respect for him, and I personally, I'm not rushing to see more movies of his. I said this before, as you said you were listening, that I think this guy is okay for making like screwball comedies. He was never this kind of fancy director. He did his best Martin Scorsese impression with the previous one, which was basically just ripping off Taxi Driver and King of Comedy. It was a good ripoff. It was well made, and I think Joaquin Phoenix really gave a great performance in the previous one. So even though it was a movie that I don't think anybody knew they wanted or needed, at least something came out interesting. and it left kind of viewers with some kind of something interesting, maybe like an Elseworlds feel, maybe something. It didn't have to be the official Joker, but it was cool for whatever it was, and I think it really didn't need anything else. And if you were going to make something else, that's not what you needed to make. Not what this guy made as the sequel. This guy will go down as a fart. Go on.
It's at least rekindled my mild interest in watching the first one, because I turned that on one day and I got past the opening logo and decided I didn't want to feel like crap for 2 hours, and I turned it off. And I never went back to it. So now I kind of want to go back to it.
Not
What,
not
the
a
first one?
feel-good movie.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the first one?
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
I thought the first one was interesting. Again, if you kind of
It
look
was.
at it as an Elseworlds type of movie, I think that the
Yeah.
first one as a standalone would have been fine as like a cool character study of a villain. I think there was something to enjoy there. And really, it didn't need a sequel. If you insisted there was something that could have been done, it wasn't that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you guys all had better ideas on that stream for what to do with it. But that all sounds like it's going down like comic book movie, and he clearly had no interest in the Joker. He just
Yeah.
wanted to borrow the clout.
He sounds like a confused, somewhat confused person. You know, I don't know if he's going to be getting big budget movies after this. I think that a lot of studios are going to be annoyed with him. I don't think Warner Brothers are going to be in a rush to want to do stuff with him. I don't think
Yeah.
other studios, seeing how he annoyed Warner Brothers, I don't think they're going to want to, hire him. I'm not saying he'll never get hired, but you'd be surprised. Sometimes these things have an impact. And I don't know if next time he walks into a studio and says, give me $200 million, I don't know that they're going to give it to him. And I wouldn't give it to him either. That's what I was saying that before as well, that I have no faith in the guy. I think that if you have a movie that has a small budget,
Yeah.
maybe you give him the budget for a small budget. Maybe he could do something. Wouldn't give him any IPs. If anybody cares about those IPs, wouldn't give him $200 million.
Also, I messaged you because I saw the ending. I saw the ending the first time, and I was just so focused on Joaquin. Everyone knows the ending, right?
I mean, I don't know if people know the ending, but let's just say that it's if you saw The Last Jedi and didn't like that, there's a few things that you could take from that one and apply them to this one.
It's
The one
pretty
thing
much
you were
the same
talking about, the
thing.
grapes and the prison thing, that is sort of left ambiguous, although it seems like that's what's happening, but they don't 100% explain it. It's just sort of left up in the air. But
Yeah.
even the fact that I was thinking it, and probably other people were thinking it, that in and of itself is very bad. And this is not what you expect.
Well,
This is just taking a dump on your audience.
that's what I messaged you after someone was like, "Oh, there's like a thing in the background out of focus at the end," and I was like, "I never would have seen that if I was sitting in the theater watching it, just watching it." And it was so like subtle and out of focus, and it tries to tack itself on to a much more successful trilogy of movies, and I was like wrestling with the implications of if this isn't the real Joker and how that cheapens that character. And I'm like, this feels like every cheapening of everything we've seen for like 10 years, if that's the case. Does that make
For sure.
sense? I'm trying to step around, or unless I already gave away the ending when I
It's
got on here.
okay. I think that at this point it's such a flop, nobody even cares.
Well, they
It's
have
a terrible movie.
they have the guy cutting scars on his cheeks. And I'm like, are they trying to imply that this is the Heath Ledger Joker?
Yeah, they were sort of implying it. It doesn't make any sense to me, and I don't need them to connect it. Don't try to connect it to the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah,
I think that they've
felt-
done enough. You don't need to try to connect this. This is a piece of crap that stands by itself. You don't need to connect it to something else. Say what you want about Christopher Nolan. I know some people like him, some people don't like him. I think that guy made a pretty darn good Batman trilogy. I know that the third one, The Dark Knight Rises, may not be for everybody, but you know what? In comparison to so many movies that came before and after, that Dark Knight Rises movie, I don't hate it. Yeah. It's not the best
Yeah.
one out of the three. I go with Dark Knight #1, then Batman Begins, and maybe Rises. But you know what? I would unironically take that trilogy over so much of the crap that we've been seeing.
Oh
Sean,
yeah,
I don't know if you like that trilogy or not, but I liked it.
I love Batman Begins. I think that was a great movie, and it was the best of the three. And the other two have crap stories, but amazing villains. And I only watch the villain parts.
Well, everybody likes whatever they like, I suppose. But I do, I
I
do think,
like that. I liked the trilogy. Overall, I thought they were good movies. I had problems with all three films.
I
Uh, but
understand that.
I enjoyed them for what they were, and I thought there was more there to enjoy than there was to criticize most of the time. So
You know, a lot of people later told me, but Ben Affleck and his thing is, and Zack Snyder, it really feels like Batman. It doesn't feel like Batman to
no,
me. I think that that the Nolan trilogy felt like there was a real filmmaker making it. You may
Mhm,
not agree with every decision he makes. Not everything he did is perfect. And yes, some of the story could be criticized. I would say in the third one the most. But
mhm.
none of that matters to me. At the end, somehow I sit there and I'm immersed in that world in Gotham City. I really like what he created. He's a good director, and you can tell in that movie that whoever directed those three movies isn't a bum, in my opinion. From everything about it, and there's a good cast and good performances. It feels like it
yeah,
takes itself very seriously. Now, maybe some people might say it takes itself too seriously, and you know what? I can accept that. It's certainly not the Adam West movies,
no,
and it's not Batman Forever. It's even takes itself more seriously than the Keaton movies. But you know what? I kind of like the Nolan trilogy. What can I do?
I would prefer that take to the Batman, which I thought took itself way too
Yeah,
seriously.
yeah, yeah. Now, to be fair, the Batman, I didn't. I've said it before on this stream. I watched it, and it was at a time where there was all these coups going around, and people weren't seeing movies. And finally, there was a Batman movie to see. And I never really liked Robert Pattinson. I don't like him outside of that role. I mean, I don't have anything personal against the guy, but he's not my favorite actor outside that role, and he's also not my favorite actor in that role. So that was really like a disadvantage for me. But even so, I kind of was so itching to see a good like superhero movie that I was very kind to it while I watched it in the theater. And I still don't think it's the worst Batman movie. The Batman with Pattinson, it's not the worst, but
Oh
it's
no,
also not the best. I still, if I compare it to the Dark Knight trilogy for me is good. People in the chat here are saying that Jamalama is saying they didn't age very well, but Heath's performance is timeless. I don't know. I think that they aged fine. I put on Batman Begins now. I'm happy to watch it. The Dark Knight also. Like I said, Rises, I can understand it has some issues, but you know what? I still like it.
I refused to watch the Batman. I just based on casting. When I heard who was going to be who, I was like, no, thank you. I don't care. And then looking at him in the suit, I'm like, he's not Batman. This looks terrible. I don't have any interest in this.
yeah, I Pattinson, no, thank you. I actually, who I did like in that movie was John Turturro. Although I almost always liked John Turturro, he
Who's
was he was menacing in the way he played that role.
John Turturro, the Jesus Bowler?
Yeah,
Jean Turturro was in The Batman.
he played Carmine Falcone.
Ah, yes. I don't know how you know what? I saw that movie, never watched it again.
Yeah,
Now that you mention it, I guess, and I like John Turturro. I think he's an
yeah,
excellent actor.
he's a
Excellent actor, John
fantastic
Turturro.
actor. Yeah,
Yeah.
Listen, none of the actors. It's not aside from what's his name, Pattinson. It's not that the actors were bad. Although Zoe Kravitz herself isn't the best actress either.
eh,
So she's passable, but she's not great. Zoe Kravitz, even though she, in later years or later times, she complained that she was being discriminated against. I actually think that she is like Hollywood royalty. Her grandmother wasn't she either on the Jeffersons or something? I don't know what. And then her father is Lenny Kravitz, and her mother is Lisa Bonet, and
Mhm.
Her parents have like a collective net worth of like over $100 million. I don't really feel this discrimination thing going on there. I would even go as far as saying is being their daughter probably opened some doors in Hollywood for her.
Her grandmother was on the Jeffersons, yes. Roxy Rocker.
Yep. So you have like multiple generation of people in Hollywood. Her father has a lot of money. Again, I'm not a hater. I don't care if she has money, and you can have money and still be successful and still be a good actress and all that stuff. But if you come from this kind of Hollywood royalty, to then go on these kind of talk shows and say that everybody is like discriminating against you, it kind of doesn't come off as genuine. It felt like she was really trying to capitalize on certain kind of trends that are happening to position herself as kind of a victim, and I personally am not a fan of that.
Yes. Well, we all know that being a victim is a kind of clout of its own these days.
Right. Everybody wants to be a victim today. And Matthew Marceau says the same thing about the Jeffersons. And yes, so everybody wants to be a victim, but the truth is we can't all be victims all the time. I think that every single one of us, if we kind of look at something that's happened to us or something that's happened in our family or in our family tree, I think that there's probably something that you can point to that you can position yourself as a victim. And I understand that there's things also that have happened in history that are bad and that have happened to different people. It's not to say that it's not a perfect world we live in is an understatement. It's obvious that people have been through negative experiences. At the same time, though, you can't let that define you. If you're good, if you're talented, let that shine. Let it be in show that off like on the pitch. Go to a movie set and show your talent. And to somehow claim that she wasn't given any opportunities is just, in my opinion, it's a lie. It's not even inaccurate.
It's nonsense. She's a nepo baby.
Right, exactly. Just recently, I reviewed that movie of hers, Blink Twice. Did you see that movie, Blink Twice? Did any of you see it?
No.
It was basically the Me Too movie. It was a movie where at the risk of spoiling, I don't want to spoil it. Let me put it this way. It's about, I'll say whatever you can tell from the trailer. There's these two, ladies in their 20s or I don't know 30s 20s 30s, and they're like waitresses in catering, and they get invited by a billionaire to go to some island, and on that island like really bad stuff happens to women. It's like a Me Too extravaganza, if you may.
Mm-hmm.
And
it just came out and like vanished.
Sorry, it came out and vanished. So the thing is that I went to see this movie not because I even wanted to. I was with a few people and they wanted to see this stupid movie. I knew I wouldn't like it. I knew exactly what it would be, and I knew that it would annoy me. But I didn't want to be a party pooper. See, outside the internet here, I'm like, I'm a tough puppet. But in real life, I get suckered into going to some shit movie. In any case, I went in and I saw it, suffered the whole time, and then I did my review on it. I will say that a few people actually watched my review, so maybe something good came out of it. But I think that it really helped her that she's the daughter of these guys, that they let her direct this movie. I'm sure that opened a lot of doors for her. Even the thing that she's like, I'm a victim. Nobody even let people like me on TV or whatever. It's like, your mother was on TV on a hit show in the 80s, one of the biggest shows in the 80s. Yes, today the show is not looked upon fondly because the pudding pop man is frowned upon, but she was very popular. She then got her own spinoff, and then she left that spinoff and went back to the mothership show or whatever it was. But the bottom line is her mother was very, very popular.
I feel like
and her grandma. What'd you say?
I feel like as a white kid in Pennsylvania, there were a lot of us in love with her mother growing up.
I until this day have like fond memories of Lisa Bonet. And you know what? Lisa Bonet, again, this is going to be a bit of a douche here. I think that Lisa Bonet is not only prettier than Zoe Kravitz, I also think that she's more charming on screen and more likable. I feel like in every category, Lisa Bonet is more gifted than Zoe. Even though I will say that Zoe's movie, and I will give a compliment, it was competently directed. I think it wasn't poorly directed. It was just a movie that I wouldn't recommend to anybody. It's a movie that if you really love Me Too and want to see a movie about it, like with that kind of feel and vibe, and like you're craving it and you're itching for Me Too, then that movie may be a good movie for you. If you're just like some dude that likes to sit and drink a beer, maybe watch some sci-fi or read some comics or whatever, you should probably steer away from that Blink Twice movie. You're not going to like it at all.
I had a suspicion.
But yeah, and even her grandmother was like on a popular TV show. It's such a nonsense type of victimhood. I really wouldn't go there. I would be ashamed to play that kind of victim.
But there's such a phenomenon as growing up in such a privileged bubble that you don't have the right. You have a warped perspective of reality, so it's like you're only going to be familiar with the situation that you're in, and you would have no clue that people have it worse than you. Technically, I don't know. I feel like I can never make points this late at night.
You're trying, Sean. Go ahead.
It's just you grow. It's like oh god. It's
You
like
can do it, Sean.
that famous like parable or whatever of the prince that grows up in a palace that eventually has to leave the palace to see how the real world actually is. I don't think she's ever left the palace.
You mean like Princess Jasmine and Aladdin?
Sure, no. Like,
doesn't she leave the castle? Professor, doesn't Jasmine leave the castle because she wants to see how the commoners act or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
She wants to go see what it's like out there.
Okay, so she is, but she's just never left the castle or really had an interest to live with the commoners. But she'll still claim that victimhood or perceive being repressed through whatever lens that she looks through.
Yeah, I see where you're going with it. So
she just doesn't know any better, but she's going to act like she has a full grasp of how the world actually is.
I think that's fair. I mean, prior to that interview that she made it seem like she's a victim, I was a little more forgiving towards her. You know, just because I don't dislike mainly her mom. Like you said, we grew up like Lisa Bonet was cool. Everybody liked her.
I used to love, what was it, A Different World? The guy with the flipped glasses was the coolest guy on the planet.
Kadeem Hardison, I think his name was.
Mm-hmm.
He played Dwayne Wayne or something.
Yeah,
Wayne Wayne, Dwayne Wayne or something. What was his name?
I could look it up.
I don't remember.
Look it up. His name was Dwayne Wayne.
Yeah, it was something like that.
And the actor's name was Kadeem Hardison.
Kadeem Hardison. Dwayne.
Yep.
Where is it?
Yep.
Dwayne Wayne.
That was it. Yep. Dwayne Wayne.
But you know what? I will say this. When that show started and it was like the Denise spinoff, I was all in. I watched that show and I was happy to watch it. But then after a season when she bailed, that became an issue for me. I know that a lot of people continue to watch That Different World for like 7 more seasons, and it had like Dwayne Wayne and Whitley or whatever her name is. But you know what? Without Lisa Bonet in it, that was like that was the marquee actress. Without her in it, it didn't feel right to me anymore. She was the only reason to watch that stupid show. I mean, even now I'm embarrassed that I actually watched it, but I forgive myself because she was in it. But once she wasn't in it, there was really no skin in the game.
Bryce is like, I absolve you, my son. But he's doing it to himself.
Right. So, so basically, I guess what I'm saying is that Different World show was kind of shit. And then she went back to Cosby Show, but those were already years when the show started kind of floundering around a little.
Yeah.
I think those earlier seasons were better. Actually, if you watch the first maybe 13 episodes, when they were doing kind of like the first batch of episodes before a full season renewal, I think that first run of episodes is probably the best. I didn't realize it as a kid, but I feel like initially they just wanted to put on a good show. But once the ratings were high and there was like America's Dad and there were pudding pops involved and stuff like that, I think that then they started like, making the show a little more family friendly. I don't know what they were doing, but something about its edge in the earlier episodes was kind of going away. And with every subsequent season, I think that it kind of went down even more until we reached those later days where Denise was married to like a naval captain and had a girl that he adopted, or I don't know what. Raven Simone was the girl that she adopted.
Mm-hmm.
Am I talking nonsense, or did all of this actually happen?
Probably.
Didn't she adopt Raven Simone, the professor?
Oh, I no idea.
Raven Simone was on the Cosby Show. Sorry, I don't know if I can say his name or say that show. But in any case, she was on it as that little girl. Denise was her stepmother because she married the naval captain. I feel like what am I in the Twilight Zone? You don't know that she married the naval captain and Raven Simone? Nobody is fact-checking me? I guess only on CBS and ABC they fact-check.
My knowledge of the Cosby Show is fairly limited. So.
Yeah,
it's been a nearly...
Sean is our lead investigator. As the lead investigator of the Night Owl, here at Price of Reason Studios, can you confirm that Raven Simone was the daughter of Denise and the naval captain on the Cosby Show?
She played Olivia Kendall. Hold on.
So Matthew Marcillo says that Marissa Tomei also got her start in the first season of A Different World as well. I like Marissa Tomei. I've always liked her. I think she's great. She's especially great in My Cousin Vinny. I feel like My Cousin Vinny, like that's a movie where Marissa Tomei wins you over. How can you watch My Cousin Vinny not like Marissa Tomei? She's just so likable. Sean, did you find out?
She is the daughter. Oh, where is it? Character.
Okay, Matthew Marcillo for the win.
Precocious stepdaughter who.
Matthew
is 4
Marcillo,
years old.
thank you.
What?
Yes, Bryce. Lisa Bonet did adopt Raven Simone, aka Olivia, whose father was Martin Randall, played by Joseph C. Phillips. Was Martin a naval officer of sorts?
Yes, Martin, as a naval officer, is required to travel a lot.
Travel a lot, and he needs to bring his daughter and put her in the Cosby home, where, because if you have a girl, there's no better place to put her than in the Cosby rest. I'm sorry, this is not good. I shouldn't.
It's late at night.
I should be quiet and not even go there. Why did I say that, Sean? That was bad. That was
He
bad.
keeps saying his name too. You say it enough times, he's going to appear.
I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna go over to the Rumble chat. I oppose the current thing. Says Carl Winslow greater than Cliff Huxtable. You are right, sir.
You are right. You are right. And historically, I think that was accurate. I would also say that Uncle Phil on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, really like Uncle Phil.
Also great.
Hard to not like. Not only do I like Uncle Phil, I think James Avery, who played him, fantastic actor.
Mm-hmm.
The late James Avery, I think he was really, really good as Uncle Phil. I don't know why. Brought a lot of humanity. It was a role where he managed to be serious at times, but also kind of warm and like a father figure type at the same time. It was an actor that really knew how to balance those things.
Mm-hmm. And he was the voice of Shredder.
How can you not like him as the voice of Shredder? I mean, anybody who did the voice of Shredder already.
Welcome to 90s Trivia Tonight.
Right. We started with the 80s, although technically some of those shows probably went into the 90s. But
oh yeah, they all did.
Uncle Phil. Somebody wrote Uncle Phil is a cheat code. I oppose the current thing. A cheat code, and I'm trying to understand what that means. What like
if you try to like name the best father, like obviously he's the best one. You can't.
It's hard. Him. It's hard not to like him. It was a combination of things. I don't know why. I would say that after that, maybe I give Carl Winslow. I think that he was good and he was very patient with Steve Urkel. but at the same time, somehow Uncle Phil, that's like, that's the real deal.
They did. Did you ever see that? Like during the credits of like Family Matters or whatever, Uncle Phil shows up and the actor Carl Winslow. Carl isn't expecting to see him, and he turns around and he's just there, and he just starts laughing hysterically. It's very charming.
Archie Bunker is better than Bill Carlsberg. That's what Caleb Levine says. Yeah, hard to argue that. And Matthew Marcel, James Avery was a fantastic actor who was warm, lovable, and very commanding. Plus, he was the original voice of Shredder. That's all true. Exactly how we feel about him. He was the real deal. I think that his presence really helped also Will Smith's career. Will Smith was the star of that show, but I think that the other anchor there that, although not to take away from Carlton Banks, I think Alfonso Ribeiro was great as Carlton, but I do think that Uncle Phil added a lot of acting gravitas there. I'm gonna say something now that may be controversial. Arguably, the best actor on that program was James Avery. I know that Will Smith is the bigger star, and I'm not saying he's not a decent actor, but I want to say that especially during those years where Will Smith was kind of finding his acting capabilities and still polishing them, I think that on that show, circa the early 90s, James Avery is the best actor on that show. And I would even dare say that probably working with him, he's more like classically trained James Avery, probably helped Will Smith in his career.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a second to realize how we got on this topic from Joker.
How did we get on this topic?
Joker to Batman's to Kravitz to
right,
Dumpling Twice to Me Too to.
Well, but you know what? People that like to hang out here on the Night Owl know that that's part of the process here. There's a lot of shows throughout the day that people are very kind of laser focused and like talking about things, reading from like every single point from some source or whatever. I think that here there's kind of a late night conversation between friends, and I'm hoping that the people that watch this show kind of like that we talk about random things, like that he did the voice of Shredder and comparing him with Carl Winslow and doing all this other stuff. I think it only adds to the vibe here, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now compare and contrast Shredder and Carl Winslow.
Well, if Shredder had a Carl Winslow in his life, he might have turned out better.
Yeah, that may have been the issue. But you know what? I feel like Carl Winslow, I feel like he probably should have gotten more work outside of Family Matters. First of all, he was fantastic in Die Hard. Fantastic in Die
Oh,
Hard.
yes, he was.
He was so good in that movie. And when I saw Die Hard 2, I was happy that he was in it a little bit, but really kind of bummed me out that I didn't see more of him. And I'm also still bummed out that they didn't bring him back for the third one or for any of the other ones when Bruce Willis was still around. I really would have wanted to see him work with Reginald Vell Johnson again. Die Hard 1 is one of the greatest action movies of all time, still for me. And a lot of why that movie works. Of course, Bruce Willis is amazing in it, but a lot of the heart of that movie, in many ways, something that works about it, is Reginald Vell Johnson's character. I think that the conversations that he has with John McClane and the way they all unfold in this kind of that everybody's against him except for this one cop, and the friendship that they build, is just something so positive. I don't know. It's something that until now I think of and I really like, and I really wanted to see more of it, and I feel like we didn't get it.
He's like his sidekick without actually being in the room.
Right, which is difficult. You know what I'm saying? Like he had to pull this thing off, whatever it was, and I think he did it fantastic. And part of the reason is that Reginald Vell Johnson is just very likable. There's just a very likable quality about him. And amidst all these terrorists and John McClane fighting them off and all this stuff, to have this guy kind of like, like I said, bring some warmth to the movie, I thought it was great. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that I think that it was missing from the future movies. Maybe the third one had Samuel L. Jackson, so it had a sort of cool factor to it, and it was cool seeing those two guys work together. But I feel like that Vel Johnson presence was missing in the other movies, and I certainly would have hoped that in one of those like 4 or 5, if they would have just brought him back. Maybe the guy's retiring, he goes to like his party, you know what I mean? There's some kind of crime. Let them do something. Well, they couldn't have done it. Or you could do like an Avengers of sorts. Samuel L. Jackson, Reginald Vel Johnson, and Bruce Willis in kind of like, a final send-off to Die Hard. Instead of that crappy 5th Die Hard movie, the one that he's with his son in Russia, that's like the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen. Instead of that movie, if you would have made a movie with Reginald Vel Johnson and Samuel L. Jackson, would have been much better.
I didn't even watch that one. I think the last one I watched was 4.
4 was the last one that was mildly watchable.
And I was watching that with a friend, and I was calling what was going to happen in the next shot or the next scene. Like, at one point, I was like, I would just drive the car into the building and ram that person down the elevator shaft. And then they did it. And my friend was just like looking at me like I was crazy. I was like, this movie's so bad.
And yet still, I'll tell you that I'd unironically watch that 4th one over the 5th one any day of the week.
This was a simpler time.
One of the problems with the 4th one is that I felt like they tried to make it too much like one of those Michael Bay movies where just a bunch of nonsense happens, but it doesn't feel like it has the type of heart that the first three movies or thought that the first 3 movies had. But even with all of that being said and the issues I had with the 4th one, I didn't suffer watching it. It was all right, I guess. And the part where I suffered was the 5th one. That's where I was genuinely sad. I watched it and I felt sad, like, this is a Die Hard movie, a little bit of responsibility here. The fact that Bruce Willis made it, he knew that he was making this movie, and he knew it was shit, and he made it anyways, and it's hard. I mean, first of all, I like Bruce Willis, and it doesn't make me like him less. At that moment, maybe perhaps for a few minutes I liked him less, but when I zoom out, I still really like Bruce Willis and his career and his roles and all that stuff. But I was disappointed that we didn't get like a final good, either just make it a trilogy and don't make those additional movies, or give us one final movie where you bring everybody back and do something interesting, which we never got.
Nope.
I know that they wanted to do a movie, probably not anymore, where they wanted to bring somebody to play a young John McClane in the 70s or some crap like that. I hope they never make that movie. I don't want anything like that. Screw that. I don't care what he did in the 70s. I saw him in the 80s. Fuck it. I don't care what he did in the 70s.
Well, good news, because it's coming next year.
It is.
No. It's just the type of thing you're like, I don't ever want to see it. And then they just announce it randomly. And you're like, damn it.
Matthew Marceau says, yeah, the 5th one is pretty embarrassing. And the real conflict is between his son and the villain, not McClane himself. Yeah. And his son is played by Jai Courtney, who basically, when I see him, that's usually like, if you see him, you think the movie is probably going to fail. He's like the bearer of bad box office. I don't know if I explained that well.
No, pretty much. It's just sad. I would hate to be thought of as that.
Stripping Orc says that there were only 3 good Die Hard movies, and I tend to agree. I think that those 3 movies, if we ignore anything that came after, it's fine. I can live with the 4th one, but if it didn't exist, that would be fine too. There's really no real justification for it.
I loved the 3rd one for it's been a long time since I've seen it, but I loved it back when it came out. I saw it in the theaters and a few times afterwards. I thought it was really great. 2nd one I haven't seen that many times. Maybe like twice.
The 2nd one?
Yeah.
No, the 2nd one is... Listen, people don't like the 2nd one, but I don't know. I still like it. I still like that 2nd one.
It's all
yeah,
right.
I didn't hate it.
I didn't hate it. I think that, when you watch it today, and really, there's a way to pick apart a lot of things that happen in it. But if you kind of don't think about it and just enjoy it for a cool Bruce Willis action flick type of thing, it's fun. It's those type of movies that they don't make anymore. even if some things that happen there are dumb and nonsensical, it does have the escapist feel. It's there are some good things. Plus, you have Chief O'Brien in a very important scene there that I always remember until this day. Maybe the scene that I remember the most in the movie.
Not the naked taekwondo scene. You remember something
Yeah,
more
yeah,
than
I
that?
remember. No, the thing that that the bad guy crashes like a plane full of people by fooling the tower. I don't know why that like left an impact on me when I was young and watched it. I'm like, no, no, don't crash into the ground. Then they like all crash and the plane explodes and like I don't know. It was rather surprising. You're watching this like movie, as much as it's like Die Hard in action, whatever. The plane had like a few hundred people on it. He just exploded and they all died. It was kind of dark.
Kind of.
Right. Somebody says, Holly, here's your landing light. Yeah, I mean that was that was at the end when that's how the plane was able to land. But what I'm trying to say is that I thought that movie had its moments, and it had a brief scene, even though it was brief, that he talks to Reginald Ville Johnson. So there was that at least. It's a fun but dumb movie. The third one is smarter. It's a smarter movie. But yeah, but even so, honestly, the first movie, the one with Hans Gruber, Die Hard 1, that's the real deal.
It's a masterpiece. Honestly, it is. It's a film, and actually, I did a two hose with Dark Hour last Christmas, around Christmas time last year, where we did Die Hard, and we talked about what an incredible script it is, and how just you get this amazing level of setups and payoffs. There's hardly anything that happens in that movie that doesn't happen for a reason.
Did
right?
you call it Two Hose?
Yeah, that's the name of it.
Were there two hoes?
Two hoes talking about it. Ho ho.
I'm a bit confused, but I assume
Ho ho ho! Now I have a machine gun.
Yes,
there's only
yes,
two
two ho ho
co-hosts,
hos.
so there's
Yes.
only two hoes talking about.
No, that's the show. It's the Uninspired Hour or so over on Dark Hours channel on YouTube. It is they talk about films. They do it just about every weekend, every other weekend or so. And yeah, early December last year we did we did Die Hard. There was a few other films in there too, but yeah, Die Hard. And yeah, we had a great time talking about that film because it's just such an amazing movie. It really is absolutely brilliantly performed, and it's so amazingly written. I mean, like I said, there's nothing that happens in that movie that isn't set up and then paid off later on. That, you know, at the beginning, oh yeah, hey, show her the watch, you know, show her the gold watch you got, you know, and then you get that complete payoff at the end of the film.
This is also a good sign. Come down to the coast. Let's get together. We'll have a couple of drinks.
Yeah,
like that thing, like
couple of laughs. Yeah,
couple of laughs. Whatever it is. That's like it's like a good line.
Yeah,
very memorable. There's so many memorable lines in Die Hard 1. For me, it's like the Godfather of action movies. I mean,
it really is. Absolutely is.
So good. It's so good. And even today, you know, just like the Godfather, if I'm not that I flip through channels a lot, but if for some reason I you know would still find myself in a situation I'm flipping channels, if I run into the Godfather, I'm going to watch even if it's in the middle of the movie, the beginning, wherever it is, I'm not going to change the channel. And it's the same thing with Die Hard. If Die Hard is on, it's like if you're a man and Die Hard is on, you have to watch it.
Godfather, I mob movies maybe. I want to like them.
Oh man, The Godfather 1, man, that's like you gotta like The Godfather 1. If you have to.
1 and 2 are absolutely some of the greatest films,
movies ever made.
What's the appeal of the mob genre? Like, is it the subterfuge, or is it the conniving the
First of
backstabbing
all, I
and the
want to say hi
screaming.
to that 70s rock fan. How's it going, man? It's great to see you here. And yeah, so what was I going to say? That The Godfather, it is such a good movie, storytelling. I don't know what's keeping you from watching or liking or whatever it is, but I suggest that you watch The Godfather and really, really take it seriously and watch it. It's an important. It's a movie that really explains to you not just what happens in a movie, but it teaches you valuable lessons about life.
Leave the gun. Take the cannoli.
You'll be a smart. Have you ever watched The Godfather?
A lot of chunks. When I did quality control, I had to work on, well, all of them, especially the Mario Puzo, the death of Michael Corleone. This title
Oh, that
can't get
was that.
possibly any longer. And the other two, I had to do stuff for. I've seen, probably out of order. I've seen
No, it disappoints
all
me
the movies.
It disappoints me that you didn't sit and say, okay, I'm going to have to work on these movies. First of all, I have to watch 1 and 2. The one that you said, The Death of Michael Corleone, it's like almost like not canon for me. I try to just ignore its existence. That one's, in my opinion, not a good movie. But Godfather 1 and 2, that's the real deal. First of all, Godfather 1, that is the real deal. You need to one time forget about everything you've seen, sit there and watch The Godfather from start to finish, really absorb what it's trying to do. It has to be. It's probably my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah, maybe it's definitely one of my top 10. It's an amazing film.
I mean, people are saying here in
the
the chat.
The second movie, I think, is actually a better story. But obviously, you can't have that without that first movie, and that first film has just amazing performances from
The second one doesn't have Brando, and that really matters.
That's
I
true.
mean, it's just, and the funny thing is that the second one was supposed to have Brando for the final segment as kind of their jumping back in time. But the problem is that he was supposed to show up, and he never showed up because he felt that the studio screwed him, and he had some dispute with them. So Francis Ford Coppola had to quickly shift around, rework the scene, and make it something different so that you actually never see Marlon Brando. And I think that what Francis Ford Coppola did is nothing short of brilliant. I think that he covered that situation in the best possible way. But I'll always know that Marlon Brando was supposed to be there and he's not. And the fact that he's not annoys me. So always that movie loses a few points with me because it could have been the perfect movie and it's not. There's also another issue, and this is total night owl here. The Godfather 2. There's a problem with the story of that one that nobody, there's like a plot hole that nobody's ever fixed. Are you with me?
I hear you.
Yep.
Okay, the Rosado brothers, they go and they try to kill Fantangeli. And then when they choke him, they say, this is from Michael Corleone. But the thing is that Michael Corleone didn't send them, and they didn't think that he was going to stay alive. So why would they even say that to him? There's something there that doesn't make sense as to why, between Michael's dealings of either allowing the Rosado brothers to do that hit or not hit, there's something that's left up in the air in a way that's not really explained.
Yeah.
Are they trying to smear his name in?
No, I actually think that Francis Ford Coppola changed something during filming, and there's a few lines of ADR that try to fix it, but I feel like if you really watch that movie, and I'll show you this point, it's up in the air. It's like a plot hole within Godfather 2 that never gets closed up, and that's why that and the lack of Marlon Brando, who on the day of filming never showed up, these are two things where it loses points. Still an amazing movie. Absolutely amazing. One of the best movies I've ever seen. It just kind of, there's a little thing like an itch that I have to scratch, that like I have to admit that it's not the perfect movie. Could have been the perfect movie. It's not the perfect movie. First one though, perfection. That's the real deal. Godfather 1 is the real deal.
Yeah. I can sit down and watch Godfather 1 anytime. Amazing. Amazing film.
So what's
But
the appeal of gangster movies overall? Is it the scheming that gets you, or is there any one aspect overall that you like?
is there any one aspect of what?
The gangster genre.
I think that the thing with, at least I can say about The Godfather, is that it wasn't just about the gangster aspect. It was a family man who cares about his family, and I
Yeah.
think that that's the reason why people can connect to it. Yes, it's in the setup of all these like gangsters and crime and all this stuff, which is intriguing. But the fact that it's actually a family, and the family element within this movie, and it's people that that it's the family is very important, they want to take care of their family. There's something about it that I think anybody can relate to, and
Yeah.
maybe that's what makes it so kind of special.
Yeah, and I think there's also a connection. I think particularly men maybe have a connection there with these people who live by a code. They have their particular lifestyle that they're living, and they're kind of rebelling against the authority of everyone else telling them how they're supposed to live their lives and what they're supposed to do. I think there's some appeal there. But I do agree. Yeah, it's a family, and these men are there, trying to protect their families and get their due, and get recognized, right? And then, I mean, obviously, I'm sure many people are drawn in by the more violent nature of the mob films. I'm sure that's something that's appealing as well. But I think some of the stories are just so incredibly well told across these different films. Goodfellas, just an amazing movie. I'm
Still
not.
haven't seen it.
And you're kind of drawn into rooting for these rebels, right? But at the same time, you realize that they're thoroughly flawed people.
Mhm.
Right. They're yeah, these guys just get out there and they do whatever they want, and they say what they want, and they kill who they want, and they bang who they want, and then they get their comeuppance. At least most of them do. In the end, someone comes for them, and
Yeah.
the ride is over.
That's
Also,
like
sorry, go on.
just real quick. Every once in a while, I go back and try to get a little further in The Sopranos. I think I've watched 2 seasons of it, and the whole time I can't help thinking, you're all just thugs parading yourselves
Mhm.
around as something bigger than you are, and I kind of hate all of you. like, I don't get the appeal
There,
sometimes.
It's fun. I don't know. It's a fun thing. You're not. I'm not.
yeah.
I'm not judging you.
I think it's fun, but in any case, I will say this: more than the Godfather, more than Sopranos, which is also more of a commitment of time. The
Hmm.
Godfather, you can really learn lessons about like running a business, being in charge of something, and the type of competition and things. Yes, it happens through like the lens of the mob, but I think that there's a lot to learn. What you see there about how Michael has to deal with certain situations, and the fact that he kind of doesn't really want to do this thing, but he gets sucked, like kind of pushed into it because of circumstances. I really like, that he kind of mans up and he learns how to take care of business, even though it's business that he didn't want to be involved in. And I like that. I like it. It's very cool. But again, can't tell you what to like and what to not to like. I will say though that I suggest that that you watch Godfather from the beginning until the end, with no distractions. Do it not when you're looking at your phone or a million other things. This is a movie deserves like your full attention for the full amount. Really give it a try once. Give it your full devoted attention, undivided attention. That's just my opinion. But back to whatever we were talking about, Joker, which is a box office disaster. That's what got us started on this whole thing.
Mhm.
Let's look at the numbers for a second. Okay.
Oh yeah,
So,
the numbers are not good. Yeah.
right. I know they're not good. I'm just trying to see exactly.
So yeah, so the domestic box office for the first weekend was around 39 million, 39.5. That is just atrocious. The international box office a bit higher, So worldwide was 114. The first film, which was an unknown, it was an unknown quantity. Nobody knew what to expect from it. So it was, people were curious, but a lot of people stayed away during that first weekend. It made 96 on its first.
And I think worldwide it made a lot too. I think
Yeah.
The thing is that in those days they were trying to say that if you go watch this movie, the first one, that you were an incel. So I guess some people were sort of deterred from watching it. The media really tried to scare people. So stupid. At the end, it ended up being popular. But really, I think, and I've said this before, that I think that may be the reason why Todd Phillips really felt that it was necessary to try to kiss ass of Hollywood, because he didn't like that he was sort of being lumped in with incels. It's like, oh, hello, incels. If you want to watch a good movie that you like, you should watch Todd Phillips's movie. And I think that he didn't like that association, that somehow he was the incel. And first of all, I think he's an idiot, because it's always good to be in touch with the audience. Even with all the bullshit that happened, at the end of the day, this movie made a lot of money, and the access media couldn't ruin the box office. They could say whatever they want about the movie, but the movie succeeded beyond that, made a lot of money. Even Joaquin won an Academy Award. All he needed to do was deliver another movie that people would like, and it would have, cemented his position in Hollywood to be that he could just go anywhere and make whatever he wanted. Instead, he wanted to be a wise ass. He wanted to be an artsy-fartsy auteur and pretend that he's some big genius. And at the end, he's not a genius. He's very lucky. He's had a lot of luck in his career, and he's okay at making some screwball type of movies. But he is a very lucky man. And this really just exposed that he's not like some big deal. He's not really some fancy director. We don't really have many fancy directors anymore, to be honest.
I don't know if they're even allowed to be a big fancy director anymore.
I don't think so.
It kind of feels like the comic industry, like back in the 90s when comic book artists like Tom McFarlane became personalities, and Jim Lee and all these other guys, and then they all left their studios to start their own. And then after that point, it was like they started putting less emphasis on the individual creators. That's what Hollywood feels like it's become to me. It's like they stop making like big deals out of the directors. Sorry, just an observation. I was thinking about it for a while.
No, totally. I understand. And I don't think much of Todd Phillips. I always thought he was overrated. I think that Quentin Tarantino may be the last director that I think has like a style, maybe Christopher Nolan. I can't think of younger people that have sort of emerged that I'm so impressed with what they do. Maybe I'm forgetting somebody, but I think that most of these younger people are just they're like second, third, fourth generation J.J. Abrams type. These kind of people that just go around copying anything they've seen. Now, if somebody say, well, Tarantino was also influenced. Yeah, Tarantino is influenced by a lot of styles, but he knows how to sort of bring his own unique touch to it and make it his own. Whereas J.J. Abrams has no vision like that.
No.
And neither do all the people that follow in the footsteps of J.J. Abrams, which is basically anybody in Hollywood after J.J. Abrams wanted to be J.J. Abrams because he's lazy.
So many people.
And this is just my opinion, of course, but because Abrams is lazy, he makes crappy stuff, but he fools studios into giving him money. That kind of pretending to be an auteur when you're a jerk off, that's like also his, on brand for him, in my opinion, of course. And all the people that came after him, they want to be that, or they want to be like Ryan Johnson, like in my opinion, sniveling weasels. That's what they're going for, or like activists or whatever, and that's all we got. Like, I'm trying to think of a director that's young. You had that guy, Damien Chazelle, is that what his name is? Who made Whiplash. Whiplash was a darn good movie. That was a really good movie. And when I saw that movie, I said I have such high hopes for Damien Chazelle.
Yeah.
He's such a great director. He did so great here. He's just gonna knock all these future movies out of the park. And then what does he do? La La Land. La La Land, which
Oh.
he went and I'm sorry, and I do like what he did in Whiplash. I really, really like that movie. But man,
Yeah,
in that
great
La La
movie.
Land, it's like he went and he found Hollywood's ass and kissed it. That's what the movie is. It's like if you were ever to film a director kissing the ass of Hollywood, like caught in the act, that would be La La Land. That's what the movie would look like. It's like we're poking fun, but it's a love letter to Hollywood. Shut
Yeah.
up.
Oh yeah.
But it still has a
Shut up.
terrible ending, and then you're not supposed to feel good when you leave the theater. It's like
What, La La
stupid,
Land?
stupid postmodern BS.
I don't even know. It was a dumb movie. I sat there and then people are like dancing on the roofs of cars and singing a bunch of crap.
It was
I mean,
really well filmed. The songs were good. My wife and
yeah,
I
well
enjoyed it for
made.
the most
Listen,
part, but the story
it
sucked.
was well made, and there was something about it that was like it wasn't the worst movie I'd seen. You could tell it was from a person that knows how to make movies, but man, too much ass kissing to Hollywood. It just annoyed me. And I don't know. In general, I've seen already like Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling in other movies together. I don't know why they're always like in a movie together. I feel like there was
Oh,
another movie that they
yeah.
were in a relationship that I think I even saw
Mhm.
before that stupid movie.
I forget which one it is.
There was something with Steve Carell that they're like in a relationship, and then again they're in a relationship. I mean, what? In every movie, she's going to be in a relationship with Ryan Gosling. Anyhow, Ryan Gosling for me has always been kind of some people love the guy and they're like, oh, he brings so much charisma and charm. I think the opposite. I think like any time you look at Ryan Gosling, he makes this face that like as if somebody farted next to him, and now he can sniff the fart.
Mhm.
Now, if you now remember what I said, anytime you see Ryan Gosling, that is what he is. That somebody farted and he's just picked up on the scent.
I hated him forever, but he's slowly been growing on me. When he did Blade Runner 2049 and Red Letter Media was like, hey, they finally found the part for him that's perfect. And I was like, yes, because he's just a plank of wood in like
A
most of
robot.
his
Okay. Let's look at
He's
this
the
movie.
perfect robot.
Can you see this picture? Am I sharing it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember when I said that it looks like he's sniffing a fart and he just picked up on it? This was the first picture that came up. It's not like I searched for one. The first one that came up. Look at his face. Tell me if it doesn't look like he picked up on a scent. He knows that somebody farted there. He's aware of it. He's aware of the fart.
Who was it?
One on me. I think he's developing a personality the more movies he does.
I don't know. But then let's see. Let's see if there's something else. I want to see if I can find another picture of him. I'm just going to really quickly.
Ooh, farted.
If his eyes were darting back and forth, it'd be perfect.
Let me see. Why is it not?
Then we would know he did it.
Let me see if I can. Am I still there?
You're not sharing a screen.
Nope.
You're right. I'm trying to.
We'll show the dog's evil by making his eyes do this.
Yes. And then they'll know it was the dog.
And I think people in the chat are agreeing with me. He looks like he's farting. No, he looks like he sniffed somebody's fart. Okay, here's another picture. Just came up. Okay, didn't even search. How do I open this stupid thing? I don't know why it's not connecting.
Go home, Bryce. You're drunk.
No, I'm not drunk. I didn't actually. I want to be drunk. I want to.
Me too. We're doing sober October, man. Day one, I was like, ah.
Okay.
I wish to be drunk.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not secure, this thing? Okay.
I've been doing the healthy thing and substituting a lot of sugar and junk food.
Woohoo! Okay, I found another picture, and I'm going to try to save this thing, share this thing. Now, I'm telling you, this was the next picture that came up. Like, I didn't search for additional pictures. This was the next one that I found. Can you see it?
It's the same face. These are the same picture.
It was a different place. It's not the same place. This is something else that they filmed. And the other thing, it was a yellow background before. This is not a yellow background. They caught him again. Again, he recognizes that somebody farted in his presence. Second picture. But okay, Sean. You don't trust me? Let's see what I can do.
It's that Pam from The Office meme where she's like, they're the same picture.
Okay, I'm going to find another one for you, Sean. I want to show you. Okay.
I don't doubt your powers.
I am going to find another. Okay, are you with me?
Yeah.
Let's look at this completely different picture. Let's see if I can share this thing. Oh no, they want. I'm not gonna pay you money, a paywall to see Ryan Gosling.
Paywall.
Screw you.
Dead man
Paywall.
says,
Thank you.
the dead man says, isn't most of Hollywood a bunch of fart sniffers?
It is, but like Ryan Gosling is like the ultimate literal fart sniffer.
He can't hide it.
Can't hide it.
ultimate.
Let's see. This picture was behind a paywall, which I'm not going to pay for, but let me try to find a similar picture.
Open it in a new tab.
I'm trying to do everything. It's somehow they're too smart for me. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, you know what? Let's see. Open a new tab. Maybe we can get away with it.
Open image in new tab.
I'm trying my best, but if it's behind a paywall, it may not work.
Saying, sometimes you get the list. Well, I'm on a Mac, so I get a list of options. Open link in new tab. Open image in new tab. Just steal the image.
Okay, actually it worked, Sean. You're a genius. Are you ready?
Mm.
This is the third picture that came up of Ryan Gosling. This is a completely different situation. Does it not look like he sniffed a fart again?
Again.
So like, ooh.
And just to bring my point home, let's look throughout the years, like at older photos.
Like what is it? The Mickey Mouse Club old photo.
Ryan Gosling through the years.
And he's
You're
like
gonna be really
doing the same face.
A retrospective.
So basically, they found, this is something, an article. I'm just going to show the picture. And this is the final one. To people at home that are thinking, why are you showing pictures of Ryan Gosling looking like he's farting? This is just my final thing, just to bring my point home. These are older pictures of Ryan Gosling. Same thing. Especially the left one. He's young, but he sniffs the fart. The one on the right, I'll say that he's the least sniffing farts of the pictures we've seen until now.
Yeah, his eyes are open more. He looks more with it and aware. Maybe he's just always high.
I don't know, but I've said what I said about Ryan Gosling. Why were we even talking about him?
I don't know.
We were talking about something.
Slowly made our way from
I don't know, but none of this is
Joker to Cosby to the Die Hard films to Ryan Gosling.
Okay. So back to Joker. It's not doing well at the.
It's classic Night Owl.
It's the classic Night Owl. It's not doing well at the box office.
I really have no idea how. Oh my gosh.
You have no idea how we got to talking about Ryan Gosling's fart sniffing face.
It was more interesting than the Joker. It
was more interesting. I had more fun discussing Ryan Gosling's face than watching the Joker. But apparently other people didn't enjoy it because this isn't a good opening weekend.
It was a pretentious film that was full of itself because you were talking about La La Land.
Ah, La La Land. Yes, that was an ass-kissing movie. So yes, I was saying Damien Chazelle is kind of like, like Todd Phillips, but I still think Damien Chazelle, still I can look at Whiplash and can say, okay, he at least did something that makes him more of an auteur. It wasn't a goofball movie, Whiplash. That was actually a solid movie. After La La Land, he did like not Man on the Moon. That was Jim Carrey. It was like First Man. Is that what it's called? Like
First Man. Yeah.
First Man. I don't know. I watched that movie. I don't know. I'm going to be, no, I'm not going to be honest. I won't say what I'm going to say. I once did something where I potentially tried to get, after Whiplash, Damien Chazelle interested in some kind of project. It's a very long story and I can't say anything beyond. It was something that I was working with some other people. Again, can't really go into it. And Damien Chazelle at the time was so pumped for doing these, like he was already going to do was after Whiplash. I guess he was lined up to do this La La Land and all this other crap. And when I saw those other movies, I figured what I was offering him was so much better and so much cooler. He went like the Hollywood ass kiss route. I feel bad for saying it because I generally think he's a good director, but he went the ass kiss route. What can I do? I came and I again, it wasn't something that I wrote. It was basically putting a few pieces of a puzzle together. But I was asked to get him interested in something, and I think had he gone that route, he could have been involved in something epic and amazing that really people would have appreciated. Well, you could say, well, people appreciated La La Land and he got awards, but you know what? It's a temporary appreciation. He did a movie where he kisses the ass of Hollywood. They came, they gave him awards. He walked out, patted himself on the back. They patted himself on the back. And then nobody ever wanted to speak with him again. I don't know. That's my theory, at least.
Yeah.
What does he even do now? What does Damien Chazelle even do now?
I never even knew his name.
He was like the biggest up-and-coming director for like that hot minute, and at the end, what? La La Land?
Isn't that how it always goes? Like, someone does an indie film, they get hired to do a giant studio film, and then they just vanish.
You know what? Back in the day, wasn't like that. Look at this generation. These kind of Francis Ford Coppola, George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, Martin Scorsese, Brian De Palma. You had like real directors working, and then you had the generation before them in Hollywood also, a lot of classic directors. We haven't had a good group of directors that really you hear their name and you're like, wow, this movie is going to be great. We don't have that anymore. We just have these J.J. Abrams wannabes, and to want to be J.J. Abrams in itself is pathetic.
Aren't they also so stifled by studios that are run more like a corporation than a...
Yeah, I mean, this doesn't... Maybe it's a two to tango situation. The corporations, they don't want to invest in any kind of original property. They just want to take IPs and shove them down people's throats. They hire a lot of activists, which doesn't help the situation. So there's no originality, just recycled ideas. And the people that even get these budgets and these roles to do the recycled ideas, for the most part, they're a bunch of either hacks or activists or hacktivists, which is like a combination of both.
Oh, that's good. Did you come up with that? I'm joking.
The thing is that I once said it, but I said to myself, I'm sure somebody else has said it. It's not that I heard a million people say it, but I'm sure somebody else has said it. So
I'm just teasing you.
Is it a known term? I don't even know.
I've heard people say hacktivist before.
Plenty of
that's what they are. They're
there.
activists, hacks, or hacktivists. But that's usually what you get with Hollywood these days, which is why all the movies and shows and everything are so crap. There's so little to be able to watch.
Yeah.
I do like Tulsa King. I have been enjoying that. If you guys...
Is that on Paramount?
It's on Paramount Plus.
Paramount, yes, it's excellent.
I don't have that.
So well made.
Yeah, it's fun. That's fun. But again, Sean doesn't like it when there's people are criminals or something like that. So maybe
I just need someone to root for.
Yeah.
And if your character is so heinous, it starts.
It's hard not to like Sylvester Stallone. Just him being there, I'm already rooting for him.
He just wants what's his,
He's Stallone, man. He's he deserves to get what he deserves,
Just like the Joker.
What you deserve.
I guess so, yeah. So I guess we talked a lot about this Joker crap, even though we went in 70 different directions. I will say though that there's another thing that happened today. If you saw that Sweeney.
I heard you guys talking about it on Midnight's Edge, and that's probably where I stopped listening, maybe. Yeah.
Let's see for a second. Hold on one second. Let me share this tab instead.
Also, this Joker Folie à Deux, every time I glance at it, I think it's Joker foie gras, or whatever that goose liver dish is.
Joker on crackers.
Yeah.
So basically, this article came out. I don't know if we talked about it. This is from just a few days ago. Sydney Sweeney says paparazzi stalk her house and try to make deal to get
Oh,
bikini photos. My actual safety is at risk.
doesn't
First
she
of all,
post enough on Instagram for them already?
yeah, that's the thing that I don't understand. I mean, she posts enough on Instagram. She's put photos on where she's in a bathing suit, and we've seen some of those photos. So I don't know if they need to stalk her unless they're thinking that her photos in a bikini are so popular that if they got more of them, they'd get the views.
I don't know.
I mean,
We-
let's
I-
be
I'm-
honest. They probably just have to pay her, and
Yeah,
they can have all the photos they want.
I mean, that's what they were trying to do, I guess. They were trying to pay her money so that she lets them take pictures of her in a bikini. And I guess she didn't like that. And I understand she's a woman of great character and a woman of principle. And she didn't want to pose in a bikini for these stalkers. I gotta respect her decision.
yeah. I like her. I like her attitude towards stuff. I
I mean,
really hope they do that remake of Barbarella with her because I think she'd be great.
I mean, she brings a lot of personality to the table.
Yes, a lot, ample, you might say.
Right. She,
But also, I as Sean said, I do kind of like her attitude. She can go out and kind of have some fun and have a little fun with herself and kind of laugh about, yep, I have serious assets out here. I mean, she can have a joke about that. I mean, it's funny. I have not watched Saturday Night Live in ages, but I heard about the sketch that she did on Saturday Night Live. I watched that online, and it was hilarious because she was actually having fun, like kind of making fun of herself and her public image, and that's great. I want actors and actresses who are self-aware enough that they can have a little fun at their expense.
Yeah.
I get so tired with so many of these actors and actresses that we have today that are so far up their own ass that they can't just laugh at themselves a little bit.
Yeah.
It's irritating.
No, I mean, I think that
Yeah.
the fact that she actually has a good sense of humor and seems like she's really cool for real.
Yeah.
It only adds. Like, I kind of thought she was cool and I liked her beyond that, but add that to the mix and then it's really hard not to like her.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we always hoped actors would be like in real life, is down to earth and understanding or whatever. And then, yeah, Twitter killed the celebrity, obviously.
Oh yeah, social media has ruined celebrity. It's just destroyed it completely. Now, so many people have gotten to see who these stars really are, and yeah, a lot of them are not people you want to spend time with.
Yeah, and that I every time I see like a De Niro thing or movie now,
Oh god,
I take that with me. Or if you it's kind of cheesy, but that Frankenstein movie that he was in, I like to watch that sometimes. But there's an to it now because it's De Niro and he's crazy in his old age. And
feels a bit icky. Yes, I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah, I think it's funny you should mention De Niro because I have some thoughts and I don't know if I should say them or not. But it is a
What's
late
that?
hour. It is a late hour. What am I going to do? I guess I'll just say my thoughts. I think that Robert De Niro is not a perfect person. To say he's not perfect that's putting it mildly. I like him as an actor. I thought he did great in some of my favorite movies, and I really wish that it would have stayed the way it was. This guy, from what I remember in his life, has been caught up in some things that were sort of fishy. I could say something now, but this is. I'm not suggesting that he did anything, any kind of. I don't know the law, and I don't know what's considered
Yeah.
like a criminal thing to do or not do. But I will say this: remember John Belushi?
hmm
So basically, and this is something that I have to say, and I really like Robin Williams too, but I have to say it.
He killed John Belushi and
No,
Robin
he
Williams.
he didn't kill them both. I don't believe he did, but I'm saying that during that day that John Belushi was in, I think, L.A., he was doing too much stuff, and which he eventually OD'd from. If I remember correctly, and I could be wrong, this is speculation. This is not fact, and this is just my personal opinion. In case anybody's watching, this is the opinion of one man, which is me.
One puppet.
One puppet, one squid, whatever you want to call it. So basically, they went, apparently, Robert De Niro and Robin Williams went to hang out with John Belushi. And the second it seemed like he did too much, they seem to have been in a rush to leave.
Hmm.
So they left, and then the guy died. Now, am I saying that they are the ones that did that to him? No, I'm not saying that. Am I saying that they're to blame for what this other guy did? I'm not saying that either. Do I think that maybe there was another course of action rather than what they did? Possibly. Don't know enough. Maybe I don't know all the details. Maybe I'm confused. It seems like maybe there was something more they could have done for that guy, but it for several reasons, it's not what they wanted to do. And now, why am I telling you all of this? I'm saying that if you're a man and you're in that position, maybe don't go around all day and pretending you're like the holiest person. You know what I mean? You're the one all day cursing out this president and talking this and talking that. You're an actor. You've made mistakes too, and that was just one. I can say that I've heard other stories, other things. This man, it's not like in his life he hasn't done some things that are questionable, but nobody's sitting around and saying that, and I don't really care either. I only care. I watch the movie. He's good in the movie. That's it. But at the same time, don't go out and pretend you're a moral compass to anything.
This is another one of those instances where you're in a bubble and you don't know how the world actually works. You're just looking at it through your
Right,
lens.
and also, not only are you in a bubble, you're not perfect. You know what I mean? Like, he could be considered very lucky. Maybe under different circumstances, if he wasn't some big shot Hollywood guy, maybe if this guy is hanging out with this guy, maybe a few more questions would have been asked.
Hmm. So Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a
No,
that was a dark.
Understood.
I apologize to the audience of the Night Owl that I've taken us through such a dark path with this whole thing.
It's my fault. I mentioned one thing and then it leads to
at
10 more.
At least I didn't mention the fact that I think once he was in Europe and he was caught doing something naughty. But let's not even talk about that anymore. Back to Sydney Sweeney and Amanda Seyfried.
Please.
Team up for the housemaid. Why they're perfect for the mysterious roles. I personally don't know what the housemaid is. I feel like maybe housemaids know what the housemaid is. But I'm not a housemaid, so I don't know. Or maybe housewives know it, or ladies know it. I don't know. Is this like a known thing? Gentlemen, have you read The Housemaid?
Is it a book?
No,
think
yeah,
it's a book.
it is a book. It's a sort of a psychological thriller, as I understand it. It's a series of books as well, but I have not read it.
I've never heard of it.
Never heard. I don't know what this thing is. Never heard of it. Never read it. You know, I like Sydney Sweeney more than I like Amanda Seyfried. I mean, I don't hate Amanda Seyfried, but I also don't sit around and think about her much.
I haven't seen her in anything in a long time.
She's a serviceable enough actress. I don't know exactly what they're going to do in this.
Let's see. So, screenplay by Rebecca Sonnenschein, based on the best-selling novel by Frida McFadden. In the film, Sweeney will play Millie, a struggling woman who is relieved, to get a fresh start as a housemaid to Nina, played by Seyfried, and Andrew, an upscale, wealthy couple. She soon learns that the family's secrets are far more dangerous than her own. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah.
So,
I'll be honest, I could probably guess the whole rest of the movie from there. But
oh, that cover looks familiar. I probably saw it in a bookstore.
It's apparently a hugely popular book.
Then maybe it'll find an audience. But what I will say,
Yeah.
and this is something also that it was mentioned on Midnight's Edge, although I already had it in the, as a planned topic from earlier. I think that Paul Feig is a director that I don't especially like.
No.
Paul Feig, he made his big splash with the movie Bridesmaids. I was going to say Barmaids. Bridesmaids. Now the thing is, when Bridesmaids came out, I have a confession. When Bridesmaids came out, everybody was saying, "You got to see this movie. It's hilarious." And if you like The Hangover with with men, this is like The Hangover but with women. And I'm like, okay. And it's like, well, women. The vibe was people were saying, well, women can be funny too. Watch this movie. You don't need no men for laughs. Women can be funny too. Not that I don't think there aren't funny women, but that was like the vibe that people were saying. And then I actually saw this movie that everybody was raving about, and I'm just like, whatever. I think Kristen Wiig is a good actress. I actually genuinely like her. I've said before, and I don't care saying it here, I've met Kristen Wiig before at a cocktail party of sorts. And because I told you that in the past I would occasionally be invited to such events. So what happened is that I feel like I'm the exact person that I laugh at, but it's the truth, and there's nothing I can do. I was at a cocktail party, and I had I wonder if I had a glass of wine, maybe, in my hand, and she had a glass of wine, and I had a really nice conversation with her, and I have to say it, she was really nice. Sometimes you meet people and they're douches or they're jerks or whatever experience I have talking to her for a few minutes, not like I sat there and didn't tell each other our life stories. The few minutes that I talked to her, she seemed really nice. And in addition, I regardless have always thought that she's a pretty decent, comedic female actress. I'm not saying that she needed to be in Ghostbusters. I'm not saying that that movie didn't need those ladies or that version. But I think that Kristen Wiig in the right role, I think, can surprise people. I think she's a decent actress, and I don't dislike her. I know some people like her, some people don't, but I don't dislike her. Why was I talking about her again?
Paul Feig.
Paul Feig. Okay, good work, Sean. Good stuff. Sean pays attention. You think he looks like the kind of like a late night Big Lebowski, but he's actually
I don't even own a robe.
Or a deer in headlights,
Well, I was.
So in any case, Sean is on top of his game more than I am. And then what happened is that Paul Feig put her in that movie. I thought probably she was one of the better parts of that movie. Maya Rudolph, I guess, was okay. But man, I wasn't like laughing my ass off. If there were a few jokes that I laughed at, it was mainly because of Kristen Wiig, because I think she's she has her moments. But aside from that, that entire movie was completely overrated. And the big thing that everybody was talking about was, well, Melissa McCarthy, she really blew everybody out of the water. She really blew away everybody with that performance. It's like, no, she didn't. I actually, every time I saw her on screen, I didn't even crack a smile. I'm just like, who is this annoying lady? And everybody's like, oh, she's so brilliant. And since then, I think that I've been on separate paths from everybody. They're always raving about her, and I don't know why. I really don't have much to say about her. I mean, I have even somebody, I think my friend Nick, I think, thinks that she's great. I don't know why he thinks she's great. I don't have anything personal against her. I mean, it's fine. I mean, I'm sure, she's serviceable enough in some things, I guess. I just don't love her. And in Bridesmaids, I thought the whole thing was just overrated crap. And that's really the big problem, that it made some money because it was that gimmick of hangover with women. And then people started walking around and telling Paul Feig, you're such a good director. You're so amazing. How did you make such an amazing movie? And it was basically a fluke, in my opinion. So next they gave him Ghostbusters, and they gave him like a $200 million budget. And of course the movie tanked, and it really sucked big time. You saw Ghostbusters 2016, right?
I refuse.
Oh yeah.
You know what, Sean? I envy you. Sometimes it's better to just say, nah, fuck it, I won't watch it.
Yeah.
But, just to know what's going on, it's something important to watch it. I watched that Ghostbusters 2016. Paul Feig is not some spectacular director. He's overrated. And
He is.
and this
Big
movie, this movie, if he goes on the same path that I've seen until now, and somebody's actually expecting him to adapt this source material and to do it in a way that really excites its fan base, I don't have a lot of faith in him. And I think that if you gave me a few $1 million in Syndey Sweeney, I can do something better. A movie, of course. I mean, I can make a movie. I wasn't implying that I would do something else. You know what I'm saying?
No,
I'm saying give me
I know
millions of dollars
I
in
know
the
what you
Sweeney.
mean. Yeah.
Millions of dollars for a budget. Never mind. Sean knows what I'm saying.
Yeah, she's hot, man.
Right, but I was being strictly professional now. I mean, give me the budget,
me
give
too.
me Syndey
She's so
Sweeney.
hot.
I mean, she does. I noticed that she does look all right. I mean, that's certainly one of her qualities.
Go on.
In any case, I think that Paul Feig here is out of his depth again. And unless there's some kind of miracle, I think this will be the movie that people will really, really see that Paul Feig is overrated. Unless the source material is just so popular with Sydney Sweeney in it that it's just going to overcome his mediocrity. But all I know is since that Ghostbusters 2016, anytime there's like a publication that's willing to listen to him, he just wants to cry about how people ruined his movie and didn't want to see it, and how everybody's ifs and foes for not liking his movie. I don't really know. I watched his movie. His movie was shit. But that's just my opinion, of course. Professor, what do you think about all this?
I'm not a big fan of Paul Feig. I don't know that he's done that much that's been even all that worthy of praise. Bridesmaids was funny. It worked because it had a fun cast that I thought played together well. It wasn't a magical experience of a film. It's not one of the greatest comedies ever made. I think he's been kind of derisive and dismissive to the audience. He's said time and again that the only reason that Ghostbusters 2016 failed was because of evil Orange Man, right? And it's absurd. That movie was dreadful. It was demonstrably a bad film. It had nothing to do. You know what? It had those women in it, and if it had been written to be funny and it had actually had good gags and it wasn't, it just was not a good movie. It was bad, and they just can't get over it because they're just convinced. It was sexism. It was Orange Man. It was people. That's what made this movie terrible. And it was never that. It's just not a good movie. It's not particularly funny. It falls back on fart gags and potty humor and stuff nonstop, and it's just not good. And I get real tired of some of these directors, and Paul Feig is one of them, just constantly harping on, well, it's the audience's fault. And I'm sorry, but it's not. It was a bad movie.
We live in an era, and I always say this, that now it's like everything you do, you have like a spin room afterwards. The movie failed. No, it was the Isenphobes. No, you made a shitty movie. People didn't want to see it. It doesn't matter. Even if, let's say, you made a movie and everybody in America, they're all Isenphobes and they didn't want to see your movie, so nobody went to see it, you know what? Then you didn't make a good movie still. Like, if everybody in America is Istenphobes and you need their business, then make the Istenphobe movie and see if that works. you know, if you think that that's the way it works, then make your Istenphobe and see if you got all the people to come to see your movie. I suspect that the same people didn't see your movie when you thought it was not Istenphobe will also think your movie sucks when you do it for the Istenphobe. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They should have made it a sequel, and they should have been a franchise of the Ghostbusters, like they mentioned in the first movie.
They
You know what I
could have
mean?
tried to do something where these ladies are just doing their own thing, but they acknowledge that the previous team existed, and maybe these ladies want like a mentor or something like that, and they try to reach out to them to try to mentor them because they've run into some kind of ghost situation. It wouldn't have been perfect, but you know what? I think that if it was done in a fun way, maybe there was a way to for audiences to be more forgiving to some wacky idea like that. But to just make it so that it's like a brand new thing and then to bring the Ghostbusters in to kind of humiliate them in a few scenes was very weird.
When I saw that trailer and she was screaming, "The power of Christ compels you," I was like, or "The power of Patty compels you," or whatever. I was like,
Oh yeah.
we are not watching this.
Literally, you want to know the only reason I saw this movie? I got it free when I bought a
Papa
Sony television.
Oh, okay. I thought there was a Papa John Ryan.
No, the reason I watched it is because I was on a plane, and I think that I didn't have many options that I didn't see, if at all. And I'm just like, all right, I'll watch this. And it was the right movie to watch on a plane. If there's anywhere ever that I would watch that movie, it's on a plane.
Because you can't escape.
I can't escape, but also it's like
You could pray for a crash.
you can expect on a plane. You kind of expect to watch crap. Like that's the kind of level that you're looking at.
Very true.
I guess.
But bottom line is, what's your gamble here? Do you think that Paul Feig is going to do well with these ladies on this movie?
Yeah, it seems like it's got a really big following, the books themselves, and it's the kind of thing. It seems it would appeal to that particular audience, as long as their budget is reasonable. I think they could make some money off of it. I mean, it's like, from what I can gather from the Wikipedia article, it's basically, oh, they bring in this girl and she's hot and young, and her husband is abusive, and you find out that she can't have kids, so he's using her to have kids. It's just weird.
Oh, he is abusive. Good. I was wondering if there was going to be some kind of parallel to It Ends With Us. Apparently, that was a huge book series, and people were flocking to the theater to see it. And I'm like, why is this a thing? It's all just a movie about domestic abuse. But I
don't know.
digress.
Women love movies about that kind of stuff, I guess.
It's crazy. This does say thriller book though, so Paul Feig is obviously known for his thrillers.
That is a weird fit, right?
It does not sound right.
It doesn't sound right at all. I don't really rate Paul Feig. I haven't seen anything that he's made that like qualifies him, that makes him a real director. But he's fooled enough people until now. Maybe he can fool them again. I don't know. We'll see. It's either this thing will be the last thing like Paul Feig directs, like, and then after that he'll be doing like
local car commercials.
Red Shoe Diaries. What was it called? Is there something called the Red Shoe Diaries?
In the 90s on
Cinemax. There was an HBO or Cinemax show, yeah.
Was it the Red Book Diaries? What was it called?
Red Shoe.
Red Shoe Diaries, yeah.
Really? I got it right. It was the Red Shoe Diaries?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I've heard.
If this doesn't work for him,
late as a kid.
If this doesn't work out for him, the next thing you'll be seeing Paul Feig do is directing Red Shoe Diaries episode.
Yeah, pretty sure that was a softcore thing on Skinemax.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like even that he wouldn't do well. Like,
they get ad-lib.
The actors and actresses get undressed and then tell each other jokes.
Oh my God!
I'm sorry, I don't know why this cracked me up. How did we get to the Red Shoe?
Paul Feig.
Paul Feig. That's his next thing after.
Paul Feig, exactly. So I don't know why. Now I want to see Paul Feig direct an episode of the Red Shoe Diaries. Like I'm envisioning it, and it's making me laugh, and I feel like that's what needs to happen. At least I was able to crack myself up. I don't know if the people listening to this are thinking to themselves, what is wrong with this guy?
Oh, Matthew's saying it was on HBO.
Is it HBO? I was originally thinking HBO,
Yeah.
but yeah. They both had questionable things on
Price,
late
there
at
used
night.
to be Zelman King's Red Shoe Diaries on HBO. Ooh, okay. Yeah, I knew. I don't know if I can read this, but the lazy entertain themselves with really creep jokes. It's good though. It's good. This is funny though. This is funny stuff. I don't know if I should read it, but you know what I'm saying. This is
Yeah.
funny stuff. In any case, so this movie is probably gonna, unless Paul Feig is really gonna surprise me here. If he continues on the trajectory we've seen until now, this movie is gonna suck. And if this movie sucks, there will be nothing for him. On the one hand, it's not that I'm wishing for him to fail, but on the other hand, because he's so annoying, you know, if he did fail, then maybe that is going to be a legitimate outcome to all of his babbling.
Especially if you do nothing but whine for like. When was
Right, he
that?
keeps whining all the time.
Yeah. It's like, let it go already.
Right. And this man will not let it go. And sometimes, and back to what I was saying about people want to have a spin room. The Acolyte is a bad show. It's bad, and that's it. And when you're doing a bad show, it's bad. Just like that thing this week with Jodie Turner Smith that's been whining. Why didn't Disney protect the actors of the Acolyte or whatever it was?
Yeah, this refusal for accountability in people now, I will never understand.
So yeah, a few things. I don't know. Let's just look at my Twitter for a second, which we do sometimes.
I've got something we can take a look at. Oh, you shared it there.
Okay,
So,
what is it?
yeah, I don't know if you saw this earlier today, but yeah, Sebastian Stan talking about how if you don't have anything better to offer, you shouldn't criticize the Marvel movies.
We don't have $100 million to blow.
Right,
on
give us billions of dollars in IPs, and we'll show you if we can do
Yeah,
something better. Otherwise, you should shut up.
Oh God, yeah. I've never been part of a company that puts so much heart and thought into anything. If Marvel was gone, it'd be
Still
such
isn't.
a big hole and try to fill up. Don't just go out there and shit on something without offering something better. Ugh.
This is just feels like I've seen other articles with other weird shit that he said recently that's similar to this. Maybe this is just more crap that he said, but it all looks like he's just doing trying to stir up some interest towards that Thunderbolts movie. I bet you nobody gives a shit about it.
Yeah, or his Trump movie.
What'd you say?
Or his terrible
Or his Trump
movie.
movies that especially nobody cares about that.
Yeah.
That there was something that they were saying that the reason Hollywood didn't embrace the movie is because they're afraid of Trump. You know what?
I didn't even know it was out or it was coming out. Or
all I can say is that I've been following Hollywood for the past several years. I haven't seen them especially afraid of Trump. I think if there was a way to like throw him under the bus, they would have done it. For some reason, they're not embracing this movie. Maybe they just don't think it's a good movie. I don't really know, but I have a feeling it's not a good movie. And
Yep.
And this thing is just some kind of desperation to get people interested in that Thunderbolts movie. He's not really talking about the Trump thing here, but
yeah.
You know, I have an anecdote. Did I tell you this anecdote about the Trump movie?
No, I don't think so.
Basically, let me see if I can find this. So there's a company called. Do you remember what that Sean? What's the production company called? Okay, hold on 1 second. I'll find it.
For what?
Okay, The Apprentice is a movie that they did about Trump, like a TDS type of movie that they wanted to make with a budget of $16 million. And it's Sebastian Stan that stars as Donald Trump. Now, I've even once shown a video, like a clip from that movie. It doesn't seem too good. He doesn't really feel like Trump. He feels like some weird caricature. Professor, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. So the production companies are, it looks like Gidden Media, Rocket Science, and Headgear Films.
Okay, but it's distributed by a company called Briarcliff Entertainment.
Okay.
Now, the reason why this is important is Briarcliff Entertainment went to the press and was saying like everybody's has it out for us, and Sebastian Stan was saying that as well, and they're all kind of whining, as if theoretically, you'd think based on their whining that Briarcliff, they want to, they're on the right side of history, quote unquote. They want to show what a bad person in their eyes Trump is, including that they have a scene in the movie where he eats grapes with a woman.
Yeah. Yep.
So they have something like that in there, and basically they wanted to release that, and people aren't embracing their movie. Meanwhile, this same company, unbelievable, you wouldn't believe the hypocrisy. This is something that only Hollywood can produce, this kind of hypocrisy. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can Briarcliff. Let me see if I can find this article, because this article was like this is like a Night Owl exclusive. I don't know, unless I showed you this, Professor, but I don't think I did.
I don't remember talking about it.
We talked about it?
No, I don't remember.
So basically, let me see if I can share this. Remember Briarcliff? They want to be on the right side of history with Trump and his fondness of grapes. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
Now let me show you this article.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're the one distributing the magazine.
They've decided. There's a movie that Jonathan Majors he made, and people paid for it, and it had some kind of role that he's in, and it was supposed to be like a darling for the festivals. But because of everything that happened with Jonathan Majors' legal battles and the outcome of them, it turned out that he lost his distribution deal. The distributor, which was like Sundance, I don't know what, they bailed. So struggling to find a new distributor, they ended up finding Briarcliff. So on the one hand, it's really important to them, women and the right side of history and all this other stuff, but at the same time, this is important. They want to support Jonathan Majors. Now, I want to make it clear, in both the Trump situation and even Jonathan Majors, I don't know even what really happened in either of those cases, and my personal instinct in both of them, I'm not convinced that either of those people, whether it be Jonathan Majors or Trump, I'm not convinced at minimum that there's real evidence to anything that's being said. With Jonathan Majors, all I saw was a video that he was running away in the middle of the night. They said he was running away because he was abusing a woman, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just weird that he was running away from her. I mean, you think that you have like the smoking gun video. Smoking gun video, probably running away. It's not a good smoking gun.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
I think there was more from some of the testimony that they got, and said there were some phone calls and some text and stuff that they got a hold of too for Jonathan Majors.
Maybe
that kind of buried that case, because it was, if he wasn't physically abusive, he was most certainly psychologically abusive. You could see it in the communications that they had, so it was pretty icky.
Fair enough. In any case, all I'm saying is that these two guys, basically, if you're going to say that one guy, like based on the outcome of his trial, beyond what happened or didn't happen or feelings or anything like that, one guy based on the outcome of his trial, you supposedly like think he's terrible, and the other guy suddenly he's great. This is where there's a discrepancy. It suddenly feels like they're not really here to. They're not men of principle. They're just here to make a few dollars, right? Which it's fine if you're a business, but I think that in the middle, right before an election, to try to take that kind of position and to release a movie like this to try to create a sensation is kind of annoying. I don't. This doesn't add to their reputation in my eyes. Like, be consistent. If you're like pretending to be all like high and mighty, then do it all the way. Don't do this thing where on one hand you're trying to make a buck here and then a buck there.
I feel like everyone's doing that now.
And then the other thing is, if you read them, this is the weird thing that these kind of industry trades. Another thing about this article is, this article basically is trying the industry. This trade in the industry is trying to cover its ass because they don't want to admit that they did something bad. They really built up. Do you remember when Jonathan Majors was the next big thing in Hollywood?
I remember all the red carpet nonsense.
Yeah,
my God, Jonathan Majors is coming.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like, you had all these people on the red carpet. Oh, I can't believe it. He's here, like the big man himself. Oh, like, what are we going to do? It's like the best actor in the past 70 years. Oh, it's Jonathan Majors. Now, first of all, he's not that good of an actor. He's just all right. But at the same time, the amount of shilling they did for him, as if like the whole industry decided that they're going to make this guy a thing. So once it turned out that he wasn't this wonderful, pristine guy that they were trying to present, apparently, suddenly they don't know what to do. So in this article, they're trying to sort of clean up their own mess. We'll start off, Magazine Dreams, a drama came out of Sundance, blah, blah, blah. He's going to get the thing. He's a bodybuilder. Briarcliff Entertainment has acquired domestic distribution rights to the critically acclaimed film, plans to release. Now, this is the part that's interesting. Let's see if I can find it. Let me see for a second. Majors, who had Creed 3 following this strongly reviewed Sundance film, was looked to be a villainous central figure in the next Avengers film and poised to follow a track not seen in Hollywood since Russell Crowe. Not seen in Hollywood since Russell Crowe. What the fuck are these people talking about? And this is why are they writing this? Because they're the ones that were shoving this guy into everything and saying how great he is. So they're trying to sort of say Russell Crowe. Now, the reason why I think they chose Russell Crowe out of all people, because Russell Crowe once threw a phone at somebody. So they're like, oh, look, sometimes people are a bit violent, but, we forgive them. Based on all the high and mighty going on here, I don't know that this is the kind of flex that they think it is. Plus, let's be honest, Russell Crowe is an awesome actor.
That's really on the nose too. What actor do we know that hits someone with a phone? Russell Crowe.
Since Russell Crowe followed his breakground in L.A. Confidential with tour de force performances capped by Gladiator, A Beautiful Mind, and The Insider, are you seriously comparing L.A. Confidential, Gladiator, Beautiful Mind, and Insider to Jonathan Majors being in Creed 3 and in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania? The fuck is wrong with you people? This is absolute nonsense. This is so embarrassing. Only Deadline with their shill, whatever this spin article could do this. And then Magazine Dreams won the U.S. Dramatic Special Awards and Vision at Sundance. Yeah, nobody cares. That's just like a few fart sniffers that give each other awards. And it's a limited festival window only. It got an 82% on Rotten Tomatoes approval score, over 90 reviews. Rotten Tomatoes is nothing. Nobody takes that site seriously. It's a piece of crap that nobody takes seriously anymore. Searchlight Pictures won the film in an auction over several bidders, and Majors was poised to be a major player come award season. After strong turns in The Last Black Man in San Francisco, don't even know what the fuck that is, and the limited series Lovecraft Country, I think that failed and was canceled, and the Marvel film Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which nobody liked, and it was a shit movie. So that's not like the Russell Crowe career. Are you guys there?
Yeah, I'm just distracted by Sydney Sweeney talking on the side.
Oh, okay. That's fair enough.
I'm teasing. Go ahead. Yeah.
But what I was going to say was, this is the part. Really, I hope you're sitting down for this. And all that was undone when the Yale School of Drama graduate Majors was arrested. Before arrested, they had to shove in the Yale School of Drama graduate. Why did they have to do that? Because they know they're going to write something bad, but they kept building and hyping this guy and saying how great he is. So it's almost like, first of all, we saw that he graduated Yale, so we took him very seriously. He graduated Yale, in case you didn't know. This is a weird point to put it in. Right before saying he was arrested, they remind you he went to Yale. This is such a bullshit. A lot of PR people sat here really carefully planning this crap, and they don't fool me, not for a second. arrested. The Yale School of Drama graduate Majors was arrested for physically assaulting his girlfriend, an incident that ended up with him being found guilty of 2 misdemeanor counts of assault and harassment. They're making sure you understand it's misdemeanor, which seems kind of light, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, he was arrested. He went to Yale, was arrested, and then it was the misdemeanor.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get what they're trying to do here?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
like, minimize everything, and yeah, got to get him back on track. He's their golden boy.
Right. Searchlight delayed and dropped the film. Time has passed, and Ortenberg responded to something undeniable to those who watched Magazine Dreams. It is a gem of an indie film, galvanized by a remarkable performance and strong supporting cast performance by Haley Bennett, Taylor Page, and 4-time Mr. Universe Mike O'Hearn. It also heralded a promising new filmmaking voice in Bynum. What are you talking about? And then they just continue to like kiss each other's ass, talking about how great like Jonathan Majors' performance is, and there's a lot more ass kissing, like, you know, until the end. And at the end, you see that this whole deal was like put together by CAA Media Finance on behalf of the filmmakers, and it's like, you know, there's something very kind. It reminded me a bit of The Flash with Ezra Miller.
Mm.
You know, there's a movie already in the can. They got to somehow release it. They want to put a positive spin on Majors no matter what. I don't know if any of these people would ever hire him again. But what they do is they need the perception to be right now that he's a swell guy.
Mm-hmm.
So they did this whole like song and dance, and I just saw it and I thought this was such sniveling bullshit. And speaking of Ezra Miller, I did actually tweet something that I was happy with today.
I saw that.
Did you see that? I found this article. This is real. This is real. I'm not. This isn't like me in Photoshop. This is a real article. Are you guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
So, sometime like, you know, maybe 4 years ago or something, these are the type of articles you could see if you looked around. Can you see this now?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Ezra Miller is the gender-bending, goat-delivering Hollywood star of the future. And I just wrote, remember when they said that Ezra Miller was the future of Hollywood? Whatever happened with that? And I just think that similar to how they pumped up Jonathan Majors, they really wanted Ezra Miller to become a thing too. And they used to splash these kind of photos of him doing this weird stuff, and they would just compliment on how stunning and brave he is. It's really like a joke.
Does that mean literal goat delivering? Like he
You
delivered
know, this
a
is
goat?
the part that I wasn't sure about. I would hope that they mean like greatest of all time and not that he likes goats. But at this point, I really don't know what they meant.
Hmm.
Oh well, the actual article, it was a GQ article. In that article, he talks about having a farm in Vermont and helping deliver a baby goat when it was, you know,
I am
mother
glad
was pregnant and the baby needed to be
I am
delivered.
so glad you helped me with that, because the thoughts that I had with goats were not as wholesome.
Not as wholesome. No.
Not as wholesome as what you were saying. And when I look at this picture and think of the things that they're saying about the goats, you know, a lot of thoughts popped into my mind, but I'm actually quite relieved that that he was referring to actually delivering goats.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
So,
helping
yes.
helping a goat give birth. Yes, that's
Yep.
delivering.
And then, okay, that's good to know. And then Velma was canceled after 2 seasons.
Can't believe it was
Shocker.
on that long.
I mean, the truth is that I think everybody understood this a really long time ago.
Oh yeah.
The way it works is that they don't just make one season. When it's animation and you know, you have a whole crew of people doing this and a whole animation setup, you usually don't do less than 2 seasons. It's usually contracted for that. It's the same thing that happened with He-Man. Although I will say with He-Man on Netflix with Kevin Smith, although I will say that in that case, I think that they were able to somehow cut the order of the second season to less episodes.
Yeah.
So they were able to get that done. But otherwise, they had to commit to the second season. With Velma, I guess they had 2 seasons and a Hollywood special. The Hollywood special, I covered all the previous Velma stuff, and the Hollywood special was so under the radar and unnoticeable that I didn't even realize it had come out. I only suddenly heard today, "Oh, did you watch like that Halloween stuff?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't watch it." And you know what? It's fair enough. I season 1 I did reviews, and season 2 I also did a review. But I said in that review that I gave the show, I think I gave it a 0 out of 100. And I really think that what more is there for me to review? Maybe that's why when this thing came out, I wasn't really like running or taking interest, because it's like, what am I going to do? Give it another 0? Like,
Yeah.
where do you go from 0? Where do you go? What's going to happen with this show? It's suddenly going to be 100. That Halloween special. We know that's not the case. So I guess I just didn't even take interest. I assumed that Disparu. I think I saw that he did a video. I have to watch it.
Yeah.
But maybe except for Disparu, who takes joy in making these things, I couldn't even do that this time. But I will check out his video because I like his stuff. But honestly, there was really no reason in the world to watch this special, and I think nobody did it. And the second it was done, they decided to cancel it. A well-deserved cancellation, really.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I guess for the final portion, I wanted to talk to you, and this is kind of your thing, Professor. I was seeing, I think, an article in that Park Place that Konami had some kind of tweet where they were talking about making a game for modern audiences, and then they deleted the tweet. And there's sort of this feeling now that these companies, these gaming companies, these game developers, basically, they want to try to pretend that the games don't have an agenda, aren't quote unquote woke, whatever you want to call them, that they don't have an agenda. They're not peddling identity politics or anything. It's all on the up and up. And according to this article, I think I read in that. Do you know what I'm talking about, Professor?
Yeah, I had seen some stuff about this. This is not one that I particularly followed very closely. The new game in question is Silent Hill 2. It's a remake of Silent Hill 2. But they said yes that it was designed for modern audiences. So they had an X post that said something about see how the Bluebird team was the name of it. Devs working on Silent Hill 2 preserved authenticity while adapting a horror classic for modern audiences. And a lot of people got really furious about that, obviously. And there were a number of changes, if I remember. I don't know what they changed. I think what the main character looked like. I think there were a number of other issues that got changed. We do know that there's a company called Hit Detection. There they are. Yeah. Hit Detection is essentially a Sweet Baby Inc. type company. They're a narrative consultant that come in to make sure that you've got all your, DEI stuff in there, right? So we know they were a part of developing that remake, and they in working on the game, a lot of people are like, okay, well, what does that mean? What got changed, right? what changes did you make? And how much of this identity politics junk did you squeeze in, right? I'm not sure when this is out. I think it's already out. But I do know I saw that it was added, I think, today to the DEI detected website that Cabrutus Rambo maintains, he and his group, because hit detection was included in the group that helped make it. Yeah.
It looks like it was released on, yesterday now.
Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was probably recently. Again, not really a survival horror kind of game, not really my bag. So I wouldn't really know. I wouldn't know the original one from the new one.
Yeah, You could probably figure it out, though, depending on how they
yeah.
changed it.
The part that's of interest to me is this now a new strategy that you think that they're going to pretend that the games have no agenda, there's no identity politics, all the marketing is just going to seem all on the up and up, and then you go get the game, and then you discover that everybody fooled you. Do you think that's a new strategy?
I mean, it's entirely possible, yeah. I think it's going to be evident, though. I don't think these people can keep their mouths shut. Honestly, I think they're incredibly proud of the manipulation, the changes that they've made. I mean, obviously, it has snuck up on people elsewhere. I know there's been issues with some Square Enix titles where they've had some stuff that's come out, and they censored this character's outfit, or they removed this cutscene, or changed the cutscene, or something like that, so that it's not so sexual. I know there's been some other things that have happened recently with some other games, like what was that? It was another remake. Was
Tomb Raider?
No, well, Tomb Raider. There were some issues with the Tomb Raider, the triple pack of remake of games that they put in there, the first 3 games, where it was giving warnings about stuff. But that's no. I'm trying to, what was the name? It was another survival horror game. God, why can I not remember the name of that game? It's by.
Yes.
Doom.
Duke Nukem.
It was another survival horror game by
some kind of Dead Space.
Yeah, no.
Among Us.
God, I can't remember the name of it.
Isn't Among Us a horror thing? Or no?
Might have been. I'm gonna find it. Dead Rising. That's the name of it. Dead Rising. There was a remake of Dead Rising, and it had some various things where some outfits were changed and some characters were changed. So one character in the original game was clearly an Asian, and they changed it to be a white man. Another character, some other characters were rather scantily clad women who were wearing more clothing. They had a mode before where you could earn points by taking sexy shots of women.
Oh, yeah.
And they took that out. You can't earn points for doing that anymore in the remake. So I think a lot of these companies have been sneaking this stuff in, but I think right now they're being told that they have to. They're being told they don't have a choice. We saw an interview just a few days ago that's now been basically scrubbed from the internet as much as they can, where there were some Square Enix producers who were working on the new. It was Dragon Quest, right? It was the remake of Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest 3 2.5D remake or something, where they were talking about how they just absolutely had to go in, and they were told they had to go in and change. So you couldn't pick a male and a female character. You now had to pick between body type A and body type B. Because if they picked a male or female character, then that's going to be insulting, and it's going to cause these problems, whatever. And what they've actually found out was, and what was actually kind of exposed here, was that it's not just that they've got people in their companies saying you have to squeeze this, this DEI stuff, you have to squeeze these things into your games. It's also a ratings thing. That when these games go to the rating boards, there's now people who've captured those agencies, those groups. And if you have something in there like male, female, well, then they won't rate it for everyone, because that could be offensive to everyone. They'll rate the game as teen or something higher, which means it's going to limit their sales. going to harm
What do you
their
think
sales.
about this rumor? I've had weird, strange feelings about this because, on one hand, I wouldn't put it beside somebody to want to tank a company's price so they can do kind of a hostile takeover or buy it on the cheap or whatever that's going on here. But could they have been so sophisticated that they shoved this Yasuke there, knowing that
Just-
it's going to tank the stock price? That's a very
just to
bold.
tank it so that they get no. I think this is a little too far on the conspiracy theory side for me. I think they genuinely thought they were making something that was going to have some impact somewhere. Because remember that the people that are in these businesses now, these activists believe. I mean, it's okay. Frankly, it's a cult. Okay, it is a cult. These people believe that following all of these different crazy ideologies is the future. That they're I think you said it earlier, on the right side of history, right? And they believe in these things so much that they honestly believe that everyone else in the world thinks the same thing.
I
They
do want
think
to
that,
say.
go ahead.
Sorry. I want to say that between that Park Place, who I trust them, and also Endymion is also a good guy. And, I understand sometimes when an insider steps up and you don't know what's right and what's true and what's not. But because of where this rumor comes from, whether it be Endymion, that Park Place, or both of them together, it's hard for me to completely ignore it.
Yeah.
I understand that it would seem like an unlikely thing to do. At the same time, if somebody that's the funny part about where we're living in, the reality we live in, that it could be that somebody wanted to sabotage a company and then all they would have to do is this, or it could be that they're so stupid that they actually did this because they're idiots. And I'm about 50-50 on it.
Well, I'm certain that somebody within the company, uh, I I'm certain that there could be influences in the company that would have this idea, that could push for this, thinking, oh well, yeah, if we do push for this, then that could tank the stock price. If there's people in there who are connected to Tencent and they're able to say, oh yeah, this could really be the end of it, right? We could push that, but I don't know. From a business perspective, that seems like a real reach to say, oh, we're going to tank our stock price so we can be bought out, right?
It's very
Ideally, the
bold.
people who are in the business would want their stock price to be high so that they could be bought out, and then they get a huge payoff.
Yeah.
Right. The lower their stock is, and if they get bought out, the lower their payoff. So
it's difficult for me. I don't really know what to say. Like I said, the people involved in reporting this are people that I respect.
Of course.
So I certainly don't think that they would purposely say something that wasn't true. And I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe such a thing exists. The reason I say it, I'll give you an example. Many, many years ago, I worked at a job and I was in charge of some stuff. And then suddenly the person that was my boss who called the shots, he suddenly hired somebody else who sort of had a very similar role to me. Now, the truth is that I think he was just trying to get rid of me. And he thought I'll bring this guy, and then the other guy will get annoyed and leave. And it worked like a charm. Now, usually when you're trying to run a serious operation, these kind of games are probably not healthy. That doesn't seem like they're healthy for your operation, but that didn't stop that person from doing that. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yep. Not everyone is, as we would say in economics, not everyone is a rational actor, right? They can have other motivations. And I understand a lot of this company is controlled by Tencent already, as well as Yves Guillemot, who's the head of the studio. So maybe they've got some back alley deal where he's going to get paid off if they can take the company private, or If Tencent could buy it, I don't know. I don't know.
I will
like I
say
said,
this: if it
seems
turns
far-fetched,
out,
but yeah.
if it turns out that this was a big conspiracy, whoever thought of it is either like the biggest idiot or the biggest genius.
Yeah,
Because
that's like 4D chess right there. To know
that's like the
that all
craziest
those
4D
things would
chess.
happen in
Like,
a row, right?
let's put Yasuke in there, and like we'll just everything will just go to shit. Like I don't know, it's such a crazy idea, but like if somebody actually thought of it, I have to say that guy has impressed me.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But
Who knows?
who
Yeah, I
knows?
mean, yeah. I have a hard time, listening to rumors that come out of groups like this. It could be anybody with an axe to grind that's giving those rumors. Yeah, and Endymion is a pretty good source. I don't know who his source is, right?
Yeah,
So
I mean, you never know with these situations. Sometimes somebody could just go and feed some guy some bullshit. But I at least say that, if he convinced Endymion, who then convinced that Park Place, I'm hopeful that at least there's some kind of truth here.
You could tell me the biggest conspiracy theory, and at this point in my life, I would absolutely believe it.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, that's why you read and you're like, okay, maybe that really did happen. It's hard to ignore what we're seeing these days.
well,
Uh,
I look at Service Vero in the chat, and I'm like, yeah, I don't doubt half of the stuff you're saying there. If you told me that was all true, I'd probably believe you.
Well, any thoughts on this, Professor? Warhammer 40K, Space Marine 2 Dev explains why so many AAA video games are failing.
Huh, I actually haven't read that. What do they have to say? What are their thoughts on why things are failing?
It's probably like going to be some dumb answer. Let's see what it is.
Let's see. I mean, obviously, their most recent game, their game Space Marine has been doing really well. It's been garnering a lot of good attention.
I mean,
as opposed to a lot of the other games that have been getting a lot of negative attention, right?
This seems like sort of a very diplomatic approach. They look at some other game and just come out and say, "Oh, we got to do that. Let's add this. We got to do this." Then they lose focus on the core, what actually makes the game funny. Explain. So I don't think that the people are really going. I guess what I'm saying is they're not really talking about the identity politics here. They're just kind of like saying, "Oh, well, we know we did our best and people like it, blah blah blah."
Yeah. Well, what they're talking about though is talking about making a good game with a hook, with something that draws the players in and keeps them coming back. A lot of these games that have been coming from studios like Ubisoft or others that have had their focus moved over to, well, we're going to make sure that there's diversity and there's inclusion and all of these characters look a certain way and act a certain way, and we have a right mix of all of these different identities and everyone, so everyone can see themselves in the game, and all. They try and focus on all of that, and the actual games that they're making are crud. They're junk. You get a game like some of these various titles that have been coming out recently that they've spent 8-9 years in development, and they're finally released and they're barely staying afloat, or they just completely fail, right? There's
right. And here by the way, I can see that in John F. Trent's article, he says that this guy never touches upon the woke factor whatsoever. Meaning this guy is a good politician or diplomat or whatever you want to call it. He's just like saying, "Oh, well, we tried to make the best game possible that'll be fun for people." And he does say, "I hope that games like Space Marine 2 and Wukong are the start of a reversion to a time where games were simply about fun and immersion." So that's good to say, but I don't think he goes into really 500% like the... Oh, wait. This is interesting. I spent some time as chief operating officer at Embracer, and I saw games that made me want to cry. Their overblown attempts at messaging or imposing morals on gamers. Just want to do some glory kills and get the heart rate up a little. For me, that is what games should be about. Is this the same guy?
I think so.
Oh, Karch. What's the difference between Willits and Karch?
Huh.
Anyhow, in any case, I guess that some people are admitting it. I will say, though, that I have played Black Myth Wukong.
Yeah.
I'm like a broken record now, but I'm so happy I played it.
Yeah.
It was a big deal for me because I'm kind of a retro gamer, so
Yeah.
to kind of find out what people are playing now and to play it was just a fun experience for me. It was really cool, by the way. I really liked that game. For whatever that's worth.
Yeah, it's done really well. It's done really well.
I can understand why it was fun.
Something I'm looking forward to playing. I've got some other stuff in the backlog right now that I'm working my way through, but I'll get there eventually. Yeah.
And I guess on that wonderful note, I think we should just say thank you to some people that were hanging out with us.
Yeah.
So this is our. Let's see. Let's just go over some things. John Richards, the problematic Hawaii guy. Thanks for being here. Eraserhead. Snortopupus Cuber. Okay. Snortopupus. Rob Nutskubla. Jamalama. Eraserhead. Smilex. Orbis P. Says that my lips are functioning. I would hope so. Let's see. Dude Bro Seth 420. How's it going, man? Caleb Labine. I always Matthew Marcillo, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Always glad to see people here. Superior Nav. Empress NM. Jimmy Nature. And then the Dead Man. I oppose the current thing. Willem 03. If I forget something, tell me, but hopefully... Let me see. Obviously, as always, if I forgot, I'm sorry. If I missed somebody. Tripping Orc. Random user 1105. That 70s rock fan, a friend. Kelly Hans. Which Godfather is when the God of Michael dies? That's the third one, and that one sucks. Well, thanks for watching, Kelly. Let's see. Sometimes it's hard really going through all of these. I'm always afraid I'll miss somebody, and I probably always do. But Mur Rockstra, how's it going? Willem 303, I said, I believe. 1 T72 said, sorry I'm late to the party. No, we're happy you're here now. It's fine. The Dead Man, I said, I think. Matthew Marcillo, I said. Beep Bop Boop. Thank you for showing up. 1D72, I said. Joshua Calkins, of course. Really nice. Backyard TARDIS. Oh, that's a friend of the channel. I missed him. I'm sorry, Nick. What did he want to say? I've seen a lot of reviews of why Joker 2 was bad, but this is the first time that it was because Ryan Gosling smells farts. You're right. That is absolutely true. Dano Max 72. Am I forgetting somebody? Breeze Feats, whatever that is. Jonathan Conroy.
Backyard TARDIS was letting us know earlier that he could run circles around Ezra and delivering goats because he has a goat farm.
Oh, he does have a goat farm. That's true. I
Goat
didn't even know. I
ranch.
should have consulted with him. Stephen Mack. So many good people. Empress and M, I think I said. Service Vero. But you know what? I'm always happy when I scroll and there's more and more people hanging out with us. I always enjoy it. Cosgrove. It's always really appreciated that people hang out in a late hour with us. It's fun. It's fun that we do this.
Yeah.
Marla Sharendorf. Hey Marla, how's it going? I'm so happy that you watched The Night Owl. Didn't know if this was your bag. Marla, actually, she usually watches the Quantum Leap stream that we do. It's not a secret. She said it multiple times. I guess I can say it. Marla is Tara Strong's sister.
Mm-hmm.
The actress and voice actress.
Actually, you might have told me that on a Quantum Leap stream a long time ago.
Yeah. I mean, she's great on her own, regardless, but it is nice because, I don't know. I always feel like especially honored because her sister is so well liked. So it's nice.
Oh, I love Tara Strong.
It's nice of Marla to show up, and it's nice that she said hi to us. Sometimes I think she listens to streams that I do, but she's not as talkative. But when she is, it's always a really nice day. I'm always happy to hear from her. So, hey, Marla, how's it going? And then I think Caleb Levine, Service Vero. I think we went through everybody here. And as usual, it's just such a pleasure hanging out with you guys and having these late night conversations. I hope that people kind of understand our approach to things. These are kind of a very late night, like I said, conversation between friends that are kind of happening in this very chill vibe. We just go through a lot of topics and we go in and out, and it doesn't have like a very strict structure in the sense that we really want to be able to bring up all these topics and have just cool conversations that hopefully speak to other people as well. I certainly have fun, and I'm always grateful that you guys are in the audience, in the chat, and I'm also grateful to Professor R2 for joining us, and also to Sean Crummell. These are great guys. You should also subscribe to whatever they're doing, wherever they're at. Professor R2, he has an account here on Rumble that you should check out. And if you enjoyed the stream on Rumble, which is sort of our home base, if you enjoyed it here, or even anywhere else, I suppose, you should definitely like, follow, subscribe, do all of that good stuff, share. If you're on Rumble, Professor R2 has his own Rumble. Sean Crummell's on YouTube. He has The Real Sean Crummell. That's a great channel. And in addition, he has his own comics that he releases. He has his own comics, which you could buy at crumbscomics.com, correct?
Correct. I was working on a couple of sketch covers last couple of days.
So yeah, let me try to at least.
Yeah, I got it.
I'm gonna try to give people the link.
I got
to
the link.
Crumbs Comics, where you could buy. His comics. He does a lot of really. Really cool
I posted on YouTube already, so.
Oh, okay, great.
You got teamwork.
Teamwork. That's the best. So yeah, so check out Crumbs Comics and Professor R2 here on Rumble. And again, we love doing this, and we do this twice a week. Today's Tuesday. We'll be here again on Thursday, and y'all are all invited to. Y'all. I sound like I was like Kamala Harris.
Yep.
Y'all come back now.
Sounds like you need to crack open
coconut.
Crack open a beer with Stephen Colbert.
From a coconut tree. Woo!
Crack open a beer with Stephen Colbert and convince us that you're just like the rest of us.
Exactly. Now, my mama didn't tell me that I fell out no coconut tree now, did she? Yeah.
Well, I was raised in a middle class family.
It's so great. There was so much middle classing going on.
Did she say that about something about a coconut tree?
No.
There is something that she said about a coconut tree. I don't remember why. I think that somebody like asked her a question. He's like, "Well, my mammy used to say that if you knew you can't fall out of no coconut tree," like she just suddenly has like this other accent and saying some weird shit, and everybody's like, "What?" I
did
probably
not
didn't
see
do
that.
it justice, but you know what I'm talking about, Professor.
Oh yeah.
She had some stupid thing where she suddenly like pretended that she's like from the South and talking about
Oh, she'll change her accent all the time. Yeah.
all the time. Like
For
depending on who
whatever
she talks to,
situation
she just
she's
has
in.
like a completely different accent, which is really strange.
I'm
But,
having Glitch 2 flashbacks, says Empress NM. It's funny.
what, from the coconut tree?
Uh,
But in any case, great to see everybody here. The final thing, since we did bring this up, and this is a good segue and a good way to end it.
Syndey Sweeney?
No, I wanted to Sydney Sweeney. I like Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah, me
But
too.
I will say, I don't know if I mentioned it, but initially the 60-minute special on CBS was supposed to have an interview with Trump and an interview with Kamala. But at the end, Trump bailed. And I thought to myself, oh, why did he bail? And I wasn't sure if it was a good idea or not. And then you know what happened? I saw that they were like basically re-edited Kamala's interview in a way to make her like that would flatter her more. Some were like dumb answers. They like removed and switched things around and did a lot of manipulating, apparently, allegedly.
Mhm.
Based on what I saw, it appears to be the case online. And I'm thinking to myself, if they were just going to sit around and like fix her audio and her sound bites and everything to sound so good, I don't think they would have given Trump the same courtesy. And if his instinct was, I don't want to be here, I think I'm beginning to understand why.
Mhm.
Meaning an idea that I wasn't sure was good or bad. After watching how it all unfolded, I kind of started thinking that maybe he did the right thing. But that's my personal opinion. I just don't like that these channels, whether it's CBS or ABC, they're not being neutral. Now, I understand some people may vote for this person or that person, and I understand that. People should vote whatever they feel is the best person they want to vote for. But when there's a situation where these kind of channels are trying to cover for a candidate and doing everything to present that candidate in a good light and another one in a bad light, that starts to become more kind of an interference situation. There's something that doesn't really feel neutral.
Mhm.
No, oh no. Media neutrality's been dead for a long time.
No, but really over the past few weeks and maybe month or two, like everything that's happening with these elections, I feel it every day in a way that just I don't
Yeah.
know.
Oh, they're not even trying to convince us
Yeah,
that
they're not trying. In the past, there was at least like a somewhat thing that they're a bit neutral, even though a lot of them were probably left leaning. At least they pretended. They don't even want to make the effort to pretend now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's no objectivity left in news coverage today. It's pretty sad.
I agree.
If there is, it's few and far between.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
But
and on that downer.
yeah, on that downer, but we're happy to have like all of you here, and it's fun that we get to talk about things and even poke some fun at that. And I think that on that wonderful, like you said, on this high note, it's a good time to just take off and say goodbye to everybody.
Good
Bye.
night, everybody.
Good night.
Say goodnight, Gracie.